10, Season 3. Yes, peeps, we're back. The wrestling podcast where you fuck about, you get knocked out, where opinions mean everything and nothing at the same time. Tonight we've got loads to catch up on. The good, the bad, the ugly of professional wrestling. We've also got a list of the good cunts and our top 10 babyfaces in wrestling. But first, I am the Mark Shields, and my co-host, the man who has snapped more mares than a glue factory, the housewife's favourite heel, Hoxie.
That's the best one. That's not one's the best one you've ever done.
Oh, no.
It's not even close. That is the best one. Put that on. Get that in the Louvre. That's fucking amazing.
Hi, TikTok.
Amazing.
How we doing, Hoxie?
I'm brilliant, mate. Really, really good. It feels like I've just been chatting really quickly. This literally feels like 6 months since we've done one of these, and it's been like 3 weeks, a month, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
With rumor and innuendos floating around the universe, mate. That's it. It was done. We fell out. Anglo-English, Scottish, Anglo-Scottish relations were in the bin. There was going to be a war. Everything. It's crazy. Little did they know, we just have real lives as well.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we've always said, right, we love doing this podcast. It fills up with genuine joy, but real life takes priority, right? I mean, we have been super busy. It's like I've been on holiday. I always take my father-in-law away. Like to give him a bit of a break because he's got like caring duties and stuff. And yeah, it's just been full
Good
on,
excuse
right?
for a piss up for a week, right?
Yeah, potentially. But yeah, it's just been super busy. But we love doing this, right? It's such a great thing that we do.
If I could do this every day for a job, it'd be fucking amazing. Definitely.
Absolutely.
But there we go. There we go.
But have you, the listeners, missed Hoxie and Shields? I would think you have. Yeah.
Of course they have. They've been pining for us, mate. I've heard a few people have been crying into their pillars of an evening because we haven't been here. People have been, where's the podcast? I need my weekly dose.
I mean, they've got several episodes they could go into our back catalogue, which we'll talk about momentarily.
Exactly.
As Hoxie says, it's been a few weeks that we've been away.
It's been a minute, right?
It's been a hot minute. But you'll be glad to know we've got lots of stuff to talk about in wrestling, like I said in the intro. We've got a whole host of AEW. We've got some independent scene wrestling I want to talk about as well. And then we've got WWE Backlash and the status of WWE at the moment, which is going to provide a good conversation. The WB stuff is probably going to be in between the list because, ladies and gentlemen, we're fucking doing the babyface list.
The list is back. It's back. It's done. Right. It's in the bank. It's written on this piece of paper. We're doing it today, tonight, right now. When you're listening to this, we will have the list. The face list is here.
It's unbelievable. Before we get into the wrestling, we're going to do the usual... the
saga of the babyface list.
We're going to do the usual. We're going to do the sort of the plugs of socials and stuff. And if you have listened to the podcast before, again, go back and listen to our back catalogue. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, and all your favourite podcasting platforms. We do try and promote our email address, wrestlemark10@gmail.com, and we want to hear your opinions of the podcast and your list and just any sort of feedback you've got for the podcast. It does mean a lot, and the fact that people do write into us, it does, again, it fills us with genuine joy. And the one that I've picked out, me and Hoxie have been talking about it, is from someone that's wrote in before, Sam Jackson. He listens primarily, I think it's on YouTube, he listens on it. It's Pac Sam Plays on YouTube. If you are interested in gaming at all, specifically FIFA and football, check out Pac Sam Plays.
Great content, by the way. Great
really
FIFA
good
content. Yeah,
really good.
Big shout out for Pac Sam Plays.
Yeah, he's awesome. So he sent this email in on the 15th of April. Okay, this was after our WrestleMania review, which
only a couple of days ago. It's fine, don't worry.
Exactly. Right, so let's read out this email, okay? Let me take a bit of water. It's very hard being...
Whistle.
Okay.
It's hard being Scottish, guys. It's really hard being Scottish.
So hard being this fucking good on the mic. Right, so Sam writes, well then, fellas, what a fucking show WrestleMania was. I couldn't agree more with literally everything you guys said regarding the show. For me, in a few years' time, I think we'll realise just how good this Mania was. It's up there with 17 for me. That may be a bit reactionary, but who cares? It was sick. As for your show, in brackets, soppy alert, as I've alluded to previously, I'm well and truly in love with wrestling again. and being able to watch/listen to two guys I have total respect and a lot of love for talk about something I love with the same passion I have truly is fucking beautiful. Back to the weekend, WrestleMania weekend, so we're talking a couple of weekends ago. All the way from Heyman's speech to Michael Cole crying and saying, I love you to Cody, it was about as perfect a weekend of professional wrestling as you could wish to see. Usos match aside, that can get in the bin. That's a direct quote. I too was longing for that glass smash to put the biggest stone cold fucking cherry on the top of the absolutely phenomenal WrestleMania XL cake. But alas, a dong will do for me. There's a t-shirt. I love you guys, and I love the show, and without being too hokey, I want to say thank you to for you both making the podcast. Much love, the newest member of the Cody Crybabies, Sam.
Oh, that's a great email. That's a great email.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to Sam. And yeah, I mean, WrestleMania, like, I think we've taken time to reflect upon it. It's been a few weeks now, and
yeah,
I agree with them. I think in a few years' time, it's going to be up there with 17 for me.
We said this when we done the review, didn't we? Like, this is genuinely one of the best WrestleManias ever. And you said in there, like, it might be reactionary. Even now, months later or whatever it was, 5 weeks later, it's not reactionary at all. It's definitely in the bank as being one of the best ever. And it is up there for me, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, with 17, we've talked about it. It's like 17 had very clear flaws in the card, right? There's one or two matches that sort of pulls it right up, right? But I think top to bottom for... Is he all right?
Yeah, he's just sat up quick. Oklahoma.
Hoxie's little man. Yeah, I mean, WWE are on a sort of roll at the moment. We'll talk about Backlash as well, which was the follow-up pay-per-view, or PLE, and for me, that didn't disappoint either. But we'll get back to WrestleMania in a little second.
Sorry about that, dude.
It's all right.
A little run-in from the little man there. Yeah, he's okay.
Good.
He's okay. Sorry.
He'll be our first special guest eventually.
Yeah.
What were you saying? WrestleMania is in terms of WrestleMania
Comparison
17
to 17. Yeah.
had obvious holes in 17. Yeah, we've talked about this before. But for me, top to bottom of WrestleMania XL, everything worked. Now, the Usos match was not great. It was terrible, right? But the story,
yes,
if you think about it, that for me still probably elevates it quite high in comparison to some of the matches on 17.
Yes.
But top to bottom, it was excellent. It's probably going to be up there for me in terms of probably my favourite pay-per-view, because it's one, and that's across 2 nights, which is very difficult to do. You know, we're talking 8 hours worth.
Yes, exactly. If we were going to redo the pay-per-view show,
yep,
the list would be very, very different right now. 100% because of that. Would you class it as like night 1 and night 2, or would you just class it as WrestleMania XL? Because I know, like, some people say, like, oh, WrestleMania 38 night 2 is like better. I mean, it's like one of my favorite.
Yeah. I mean,
because you can't really pick the 2 nights because they're both fucking.
They're
brilliant.
both very good. Yeah, I think if you did a top 10 list now, you probably have night 1 and night 2 as 2 separate entries. It's just like last year's WrestleMania. Was that the one? Was that one with Charlotte and Rhea, or was that the year before?
Yeah.
What was that? Yeah. You know, that particular night was probably up on the list as well. When you think about it, it's very, very interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good. And so yeah, that's our sort of retake on that. But yeah, Sam's email is great, and it gets you quite emotional, Hogsy. I don't know about you. It's in terms of the fact that just 2 guys talking shit about wrestling, kind of sort of reach out to people like that, right? It's
like I said, we do it because we enjoy, like, we right now, the only thing that we're doing different than what we would normally do when we sit and shoot the shit or whatever is have like a camera on us, like recording it, and we might just structure it a little bit, but we just genuinely we have these conversations like all of the time, either like over WhatsApp or whatever, or
there's
just
no
like
fucking structure tonight, by the way. Is what
but it's just,
that's not a spoiler, that's a prediction.
But just because we're 2 guys, like, just literally 2 guys just enjoying what we talk about and shooting the shit, and it's just it's nice that people that people listen. Like, it's weird for me, and I think I've said this before. I've definitely spoke to you about this, like, especially when we were like we got the information of like the Apple
The top one,
podcast
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Like I don't talk to you like I'm talking to you now, as if like I'm speaking to lots of people. I'm like talking as if I'm just talking to you, and like a couple of my mates are listening. Like, you know what I mean? It's really, it's weird, but
Strange, right?
we're just having a chat about wrestling, and just we both love it. We both really love it and passionate about it, and just having a bit of a natter and stuff. And they say I would have this conversation the same way over a beer than I would do over
Yeah,
the webcam. So yeah, it's crazy.
absolutely.
But that's a really nice email, Sam. Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it means a lot for a start, but it's
Mm,
a really nice email, and I agree
100%.
with what you say. So there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to Sam. Sam Plays, check him out on YouTube.
Yep.
He's primarily FIFA, but he is doing a lot more like real football based content. He is a Man United fan as well, so for those that don't like Man
Well,
United,
can't be
don't hold
perfect,
it
can we?
against him.
We can't
Don't
bat a
hold it
thousand all the time, can we, guys? You know what I mean?
Um,
Love you, Sam. We get an email next week. Well, fuck you guys.
Unsubscribe. What I want to say as
dear.
well, me and Hawks have been talking about, I know we've been talking about the list, the babyface list, and we're announcing and stuff. We are going to slightly tweak, because this is an ever evolving thing. It's a live, it's an organic thing that we're doing with Mark Out of 10.
Yep.
And we love doing the list, and the lists are going to be a mainstay of it. But it is sort of our listeners that do email in or talk to us about it. It is a sort of 50-50 split. Some really like the lists, and some just like us talking shit about wrestling in terms of like the WrestleMania review where there was no list. So we're thinking about, it's not going to be a list every single week. We're going to change it up a little bit. If there's big things happening in wrestling that takes a couple hours for us to discuss it, that's what it's going to be like. And
Yep.
we also want to include sort of deep dives as well for certain things. We've talked about it a lot, and we did little bits called like the Royal Fumble, but we want to look at more things in wrestling as well that we can sort of get our teeth into, like certain feuds or certain like careers of, sort of similar to what we did with Sting, right, as a special episode. So
Yep.
um, we have no real schedule in terms of what we're going to do in the future, but just to be aware, there may be weeks where we don't have a list. There may be weeks where we do. It's just, but the lists are never ever going away on a
That's the
consistent
whole
basis.
premise of the show, pretty much, right? So
Absolutely.
but
And
yeah,
we can be clever.
I'll be honest with you, guys. Like with you and the guys listening, I love the list. I love doing the list
Yeah.
because it's good fun and it has us having conversation. But some of my favorite shows that we've done have been the ones just like previewing and reviewing and talking about stuff and like
Yeah.
having discussions about what's going on. Some of the shows that we've done recently, like coming up to the end of season 2, like especially the WrestleMania stuff, has just
That
been
was good.
really, really good fun. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely up for more of that. And deep dives on wrestlers or feuds or pay-per-views, whatever. Like, bang up for that.
Yeah.
There's lots to go at, isn't there? There's lots of meat
Absolutely.
on the bone, mate. There's lots of meat on the bone.
And we do want to sort of satisfy like
Excuse me, sorry.
satisfy everybody a little bit, it's in terms of not everybody likes the same stuff, so we try and accommodate everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, right,
We'll
let's
be
get
reet, mate. We'll be reet.
we'll be fine. If you don't like it, tough.
Tough titty.
Tough titties. Okay, so let's talk about wrestling, Hoxie, okay? And what I want to talk about is something that's near and dear to your heart. It's TTW, Top Turnbuckle Wrestling. It's a promotion.
We're going there. We're going there.
We're going to go there first. Now, I was very, very fortunate enough to go down in April. It was the 13th of April, where it was the TTW Battle Royale. Now, Hoxie, everybody knows Hoxie. You're a wrestler. You are Dante. Peek behind the curtain. K5 is dead. And yeah, so I don't know if you want to give a bit of background to TTW before we get started.
So, Top Turnbuckle Wrestling is a promotion that was set up pretty much 12 months ago, 13 months ago, somewhere like that, around there. Pretty much, I wouldn't say from the ashes of another promotion, but there was
From
some
the ashes
changes.
of another promotion.
There were some changes that were made to another promotion, and lots of people didn't like those changes. So lots of people made a change to something else, and that was TTW. So it's set up by the two Lees, Lee Smith and Leroy. Referee set the promotion up based over in Purton, Wolverhampton kind of way. Basically Black Country promotion. And I would say now it's my home promotion, basically. I think everyone has their sort of where they started or where they trained or where they sort of cut their teeth in the business. But I think for me, it's probably my home promotion now. So yeah, Top Turnbuckle Wrestling. Check it out.
Absolutely check it out. And as I say, I drove down 280 miles.
This is big boy stuff, by the way, guys. I can't believe you did this, mate.
The show, the show started, was it 6:30 it started? Yep. So I drove down, and I was there about 45 minutes before the first bell rang, which was great. 280 miles. I watched the show. It was like 3-hour show, I think it was 3.5 hour show, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then I drove 280 miles back home that same fucking night. Did I regret it? No, I didn't, because I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I mean, I'm going to give my opinion of it. I don't know if you want to do it as a wrestler. It's probably not ideal, but I just want to give a sort of review of that. There was not a bad match on the card, right? So there was, I'll just run through them quickly. There was a 6-man tag, a 6 mixed tag, Temple of Light, which was Alex Connors, Lenny Lynch, and Kiara versus Mickey Rowley, Tyler Davis, and Violet Knight. Really good match. Temple of Light are fucking
How good is their presentation, by the way?
It is so good. It's like, I can't do it justice. It's so good. And there's an ongoing storyline just now where Mickey Rowley's, the opposing team, his partners, turned on him, and they're now with the Temple of Light, and the match itself was brilliant. I thought, as I say, there wasn't a bad match in the card. I may name drop a few people here. I thought everybody was exceptional on that night. Okay, so I'm not disregarding the talent of anybody on that roster, but Alex Connors for me is I think he's a really good heel. He's good heel. He's really good. It's so fucking He just has it in terms of being able to attract certain amounts of heat, which is great. Mickey Rowley, Mickey, I know you listen, and we speak out with wrestling as well. You're fucking good, man. It's you should have no qualms in terms of how good you are. But for me, the two girls are absolutely phenomenal. Kiara and Violet Knight, I cannot speak highly enough of them.
They're money, right?
Absolute money. They could easily go into an AEW women's division and just clean the floor with them, because they're just super talented. And for a small independent promotion, and they're, I think they're very young. You can correct me if I'm wrong. They're young. That's really hard to say. Young ladies, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure how young Kiara is, but I know Summer is 20, maybe 20, maybe 21, 20.
So good. The entire match was great. I'm not going to go into who wins and who loses, because it doesn't mean anything for those not listening, but that match was really, really good. Really enjoyed it. I loved the finish. Really interesting. I'm disappointed I can't come down to the next one to see how it all moves on. Next up was the OTC Hardcore title match. Now, my original feeling was the Hardcore title match was going to be, oh no, it's an independent Hardcore title match. But do I know something?
Macho shit.
Exactly. That's a macho. But it wasn't. It was so well done. It was executed beautifully. I mean, Drake Winter was the champion. There was a title change. Drake Winter was champion. Brody Cross was in there, and Chunk was the surprise entrant. So originally it was a 1v1, and then Chunk was added in, right?
Yeah.
Chunk is over as fuck as a babyface. He's big so time. Good. He's
big time.
So good. He has we're talking about babyfaces later on. He has the Mick Foley type babyface. I don't know what it is. It's just, I think it might have been the plaid jacket was wearing. That's what it is. But do I know something? All three of the guys there were so good. There was a table spot that worked well. There was a wood spot that was just worked so well because it just exploded. It went into fucking bits. It was incredible. It was so good. I want to do a special shout out. Brody Cross. he is fucking. He gets it, and he has this special connection with the crowd. He's clearly a heel, but see if he was to turn into a babyface, it would work. It would be like Austin levels babyface type thing, you know, in terms of it's sort of in the middle. It's like just the way he connects with the audience is so good, and Drake Winter's really good heel as well. It's just
Brody is the like the throwback's throwback, if you know what I mean, but not to a point where it's like old. It's like that territory mentality with like a modern swing on it. And his mind for the, I'll spend a little bit of time, just a couple of seconds, putting over Brody, because he needs to understand like how good he actually is.
Yeah.
I don't think he realizes how good he is. He's a great worker and a great performer as well. He's got sizzle and he's got steak, and that's what you 100%. Want. Yeah, and the ability to connect to an audience, that's what you need, regardless of anything. If you can connect, doesn't matter how good you are, you can connect with that audience, you make a difference. Yeah. Big up Brody.
So good.
Class.
Then there was the TTW title. It was Dante the champion up against Eric Battleborn. Now, I've had the pleasure of watching you two work before, and
there's a little bit of history, me and Eric. Little prick.
Yeah. The chemistry is there. It's like you work so well together. I'm not going to put you over too much. I'll give you a big fucking head, but you know you're good. You're the heel's heel. You're the housewife's favorite heel. And you know I do love the fact that you use housewife's favorite heel in your introduction. Copyright shields. But yeah, no, mate, it was a great match. It was so fucking good. And then the main thing about, I'm not going to put you over too much, but the match itself was fantastic. I'm sure are they available, all the matches that were recorded, right?
They will be. So there's Top Turnbuckle Wrestling on YouTube, so you can go and check out. There's already some matches on there. They give it a bit of time before they put the matches up, so you don't just, you know, I mean, they don't go on the next day, so it's like, oh, well, I don't need to go to the shows because I can just watch it on fucking YouTube or whatever. So there's always a bit of a delay, but inevitably they do find their way onto the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so good. It's like the DWO is such a great concept. It's like such a great stable.
It's stolen as fuck, but people get it and it works and it gets heat, and that's the way that it needs to be.
The thing is,
talking of connecting and stuff, it's like, it's one of them. People
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, though, right? That's what it's all about. And, you know, it's like, yeah, it's copied DWO, etc. But if you've got a smart wrestling audience, they know what the DWO stands for, right? It's like they know what it's about, and it just works. And I think for that promotion, it's such a great thing. And then there was the main point of it was obviously it's TTW Battle Royale, and they had their own Rumble, and there are so many people in that Rumble that are so good. Like it was basically a smorgasbord of different styles. Yeah, it's just fucking great. And, you know, Dante wins it. And, you know, that's a nice little twist. He's the champ. He
the winner of the the winner of the Rumble, the Battle Royale, the winner of the Rumble actually became the number one contender. So what's a champ to do than to assert his authority and get himself put into the Rumble and go ahead and win it? You can't beat somebody if you're not a number one contender, can you? So
absolutely,
fuck that. And the clever heel that I am, I managed to choose my own opponent. So why wouldn't you not do that? You're not going to choose the biggest boy in the yard, was it? Violet Knight, the little slag. So she's going to get busted all over the Purton Civic Centre at some point soon. So we'll see. She's about 3 foot tall and about 6 stone, soaking wet. So, easy pickings, right? Easy pickings.
I think Violet is going to. She's definitely going to. What's the word I'm looking for? Stretch you, Hoxie. She's going to stretch you. That's the word I'm looking for. But no,
like in the fucking dungeon.
Exactly. I cannot recommend, if you are near the Purton Civic Centre in the Wolverhampton area, please go and watch it. It's a great show. It's well put together. It's not your outlaw mud show. It's definitely not. I'm really gutted I can't get down there, and because I'm 280 miles away, I can't get down there all the time. It would kill me. or my wife would divorce me. But, you know, if I could, I would certainly get down there. If you're a fan of wrestling, then please go and see them. It is going. The next show is actually, well, when this is released, it was yesterday.
Yes, yeah, it would have been last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what we'll do is we'll get the dates, etc. We'll put them on Twitter. In fact, I'll put a tweet out tonight about how to get there for TTW. But yeah, big shout out to TTW. It was all great show, Hoxie. So well done at all the roster.
So I've worked every but one show basically, and I can quite confidently say that was probably one of, if not the best shows that TTW have put together and done. Just in terms of the presentation and the matches and the work and stuff, it was very, very good. Very good piece of business. And it's like I said, it's early days yet. It's just turned a year old basically. So everyone's still, well, promotion wise, everyone's still learning and that sort of stuff. So it can only get better really. Yeah. And get your tickets quick because it does sell out. It genuinely does sell out. So yeah, get your tickets quick when you can.
That's testament how good it is, right? It's a case of you've got that returning clientele, which is great. And I think what's testament to how good it is as well, it's like me, almost 40-year-old man who's never took a bump in his Nelly Puff, like wants to jump in the ring and take a bump. Like my body would explode, like on impact. But it's sort of inspiring to see, like, just people you can sort of. Yeah, just some guys that you go to the pub, or the girls that you go to the pub with, and it's just, you're like, that's so cool, man. That's what wrestling's all about. That's what it should be. It should be that inspiring, Mark.
The next time you come down, you are 100% going to take a bump now.
I'm really not. Like,
you are.
You'll see me in traction.
You really. You'll be in a fucking iron lung. You'll be the last guy in an iron lung.
I'm like Tony Khan in a fucking neck brace. We'll go on to him in a little second. As I say, I'll put out a tweet about all the details about TTW, etc., and a couple of the dates coming up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to plug our socials, because we haven't done that yet. If you want to email the podcast, make sure you do that at wrestlemark10@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at mark_out of10. You could also sub to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and also on TikTok, all at Mark Out of 10. We do really appreciate anybody that sort of follows, likes, subscribes, etc. You could also hit 5 stars on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or on our YouTube. We do put the podcast up there as well. But what's really important is you share the podcast to one friend, just one, because what does that help us with, Hoxie?
The almighty algorithm.
Indeed. And do I know what we haven't had this week, and we haven't had it for a while? The podcasting hand.
It will make an appearance, I guarantee. When I become more animated talking about the list, it's going to start coming.
All right. Before we get to the list, right, as I say, this could be a long show tonight because we've got a lot to talk about. I want to touch on AEW.
Do we have to?
Yes.
So that's me being facetious and obtuse. I'm only joking. Let's talk about AEW.
Let's talk about AEW. Did you watch Dynasty?
Nope.
No, me neither. Right, moving on. No, right, okay. I didn't watch Dynasty, and I
wanted to.
I did
but
as well.
In the busy life that is Hawks 7, I could not find the time in my busy schedule to set aside 6,000 hours to watch a pay-per-view. I really, really wanted to watch it. Like, it's bad, isn't it? A podcaster not watching something that they're actually going to be talking about. But I just literally, it's been busy. I've been busy, and I haven't had that level of time in my life to be able to set aside to watch that show. And it's not easy to watch. No. For us over here, it's not easy to watch. You've got to go out of your way. You've got to go on a laptop or go on a phone or something. Like, I want to watch. If I watch something like that, I want to watch it on my telly. Yeah. I don't want to watch it on my screen, like on my phone. Like, if I got half an hour a night or whatever before I go to sleep, I don't want to watch it on my phone with my earphones in. I want to watch it on the telly, and I've got to fucking get my laptop out and plug it into my telly and find it all and skip the fucking adverts that I get every time I try to watch it on fucking Watch Wrestling or what. You know what I mean? It's not an easy thing to do. So, like, I'd rather sleep, or B, I'd rather watch some WWE product from 25 years ago, probably.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I can just go onto the network.
I think for me, the issue I had with Dynasty is there's nothing that really enticed me.
There was one match, really, wasn't there? Osprey and
Danielson.
Danielson.
What did he get? Like 425 stars or something?
It wasn't in the Tokyo Dome, so it didn't get that many. I think
right,
it
okay.
got 6 3/4 or something. He got
6
a lot.
2/3. Yeah, of course
Yeah.
it did. But again, you know what's going to. You know what's going to be though? It's
Hello,
just
TikTok.
hi TikTok.
Oh dear.
You know what it's going to be though? It's not going to be a wrestling match. It's going to be a move match, right? And
I've got the stars. Do you want me to go through the star ratings? I've just got
go
them.
for it.
Do you want me to go for them?
Yeah.
So this is obviously it's all bullshit because it's Meltzer, but this is what they got. So this is the opening of the show. So that 0 hour. So it's like the pre-show show. It was Trent, Beretta, and Matt Sydal got 3 1/4 stars. Yeah.
Wow.
So we got the same stars as like a Kurt Angle and fucking Triple H match or whatever. OC and Shibata versus STP. Don't know.
Nope.
I know Shibata because he's the guy who got his brain removed and put back in his head. That got 3 1/4 stars as well. And then Bullet Club Gold versus the Acclaimed got 2 3/4 stars. The fact that a Bullet Club Gold and an Acclaimed match is on the 0 hour show shows exactly the situation that they're in right now.
Yeah.
Okada and Pac got 4 3/4 stars. So a cold match out of nowhere got nearly 5 stars. House of Black against Copeland, Briscoe, and Kingston, 4 1/4 stars. Willow and Julia got 2 stars. Poor cow. Roddy versus KOR. It's KOR.
Is that not the big guys that were dressed in like the?
Oh god, yeah, I can't remember. That got 4 stars.
Of course it did.
Jericho against Hook got 3 1/4 stars. Tony Storm against Thunder Rosa got 4 1/4 stars. Osprey and Danielson got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 6.5 stars.
Wow.
So that match, cold match, got more stars than any of the fucking fucking Steamboat and Flair matches. The Young Bucks and FTR got 4.5, and Swerve and Joe got 4 1/4.
It's like, let's take a couple of those matches, right? So Danielson and fucking Osprey. As I say, it'd be a lovely match to look at.
I guarantee it was really good.
Yeah.
I guarantee
100%.
it was a really good modern day wrestling match.
Yep. Tony Storm is super talented. I really like Tony Storm. I think our gimmick really works. She plays it really well.
Yeah.
Is it going to make you buy a pay-per-view? No. FTR
Not against Thunder Rosa.
No. Young Bucks versus FTR. Like, I've got
It's 3 years too late.
No, I do not want to watch that match. I have no interest in the Young Bucks. And FTR are the worst utilised tag team in that roster. In fact, they're the worst utilised wrestlers anywhere in the world just now. Like, horrendous what they've done to them. And Swerve versus... Like, I don't care about Okada versus Pac because Okada has done nothing that makes me want to watch him. You know, and I know that hurts you because he's your favourite, but stop me if I'm telling lies.
I am as pissed off as anybody with the usage of Okada in AEW.
It's mental.
Because he is my boy, and he's gone there and they've made him look like a twat. He's probably presented worse now than he was when he went to TNA and they made him fucking KO. Don't at me.
And
hi, TikTok. You got some decent clips tonight. Like it.
Swerve versus Samoa Joe. I mean, they've just shat on the World Championship. It doesn't mean anything just now. And yeah, there was nothing about Dynasty that makes me go, holy shit, I need to watch that. You know, we've been talking about WrestleMania XL.
There were ages.
Every match in that had a pull towards it. Even the worst match on the card, the Usos, the story... I
still wanted to watch it.
Because the story drives it, right?
Yeah.
There is no
story. The promo package was better than the fucking match. This is true, right?
But you know, the Uso match, which was appalling, had a better pull than Osprey versus Danielson.
Any match on there cumulatively. The story for one match, which was the worst match on the card at WrestleMania XL, the story is better than every single thing on that card combined,
Yep.
doubled, and then doubled again. There's nothing going on there. The only thing that you could say has got pretty much story behind it, like actual kind of ace kind of story, is Jericho against Hook. But that was booked in like a month. It was like, oh, we'll tag together. Then, oh no, I'm going to show you, you little punk, and I'm going to take your belt off you. Like, that's very quick. I could have come up with that, and then I would have put that in the bin because it was a shit idea. But it was, at least it's a story. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of them, but it's crazy. Yeah,
So
there's a
bad.
lot of stars. Like, I screenshotted this off Twitter when I saw it ages ago. There's a lot of stars on there for what's going on there. Like, that's just too much. And like I said, we know, like, Dave Meltzer's opinion is just as valid as the shit that we're talking about now. We
Yeah,
we
100%.
just don't agree with it. He's on hallucinogenic drugs most of the time, I'm sure of it, and a hell of a lot of copium as well. So it's crazy level of shit that he touched now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Grizzly Death, mate.
Awful.
I
Terrible.
want to watch it so I can like have full, because like Ospreay and Danielson might have been one of the best matches ever. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard people say it was really good, but I haven't like had people message me saying you have to watch this match. It's one of the best things you'll ever see, sort of thing. They're both amazing, but I think I'm going to say something now, mate.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bryan Danielson. He's one of the best wrestlers ever, especially of like this modern generation, especially.
100%.
But the last 12 months, 18 months, his matches have been hard to get through. The Iron Man match he had with MJF was great because it's him and MJF. But everything else he's done, it's very, very samey. It's very slow. It's very deliberate. It's very it's the same stuff done in the same way that everybody else does. He just does it a little bit slower and a little bit better. Like he does the trades and the chops, and he does the technical wrestling, and he does the high spots and stuff. But he just does it in the way that Bryan Danielson does it. He used to be so different. That's what got him over as like a smaller guy who was different. It was a badass, and he'd done different shit. He does the same stuff now than everybody else does on the card in every single match. They just do it a little bit better.
There's two things I want to say. It's like, I guarantee, and I haven't seen it, I haven't seen the match at all. I guarantee there's a spot in that match where they're both sitting in the middle and they're slapping fuck at each other.
Of course they are. 100%. Were they in some form of like Indian deathlock submission mode
something like that,
at the time as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. I guarantee that's what will happen. And the second, I'm really convinced his pace has slowed down, not because he's old. I reckon he's injured. I think.
Oh, he's fucked.
The concussion stuff is. I think he's still suffering from this sort of, and everybody's saying, "Oh, WWE wouldn't let him wrestle." There's a fucking reason, It's like I really, really fear for him. It's really sad.
Same with him and Kenny. Like they've had this mad style for a very, very long time.
Yep.
Some of the stuff, some of the bumps, and some of the fights that Bryanson than Danielson had before he went to the WWE. He was rolling around Japan and Ring of Honor and Indies, kicking the fucking shit out of everybody and getting the shit kicked out of him back as well. Like his body will be, he's whatever he is, 40s, mid 40s maybe now, 42, 43. He's probably got the neck of like a 60-year-old, you know what I mean? And a back of a 60-year-old because he's just fucked. He's fucked. Yep. Same with 100%. Kenny. You can't wrestle like that all of the time and not take a toll on you. It's it's crazy.
Sad. Very, very sad.
Well, if there's any match that I would on that card that I would want to watch, it would be that one. Just to say that I've watched it. Basically.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that could be the first thing that we do because you're going on holiday. You're away next week. When you come back, we could do a Dynasty watch along like we do it on here.
That works for me.
Yeah,
that works for me.
Okay, following, we'll keep on AEW just now. We'll do AEW, then we'll do the list, and then we'll do WWE in the middle of the list, right, to separate it out. Just decision made. It was always going to happen. The return of Jack Perry. following the CM Punk like video reveal, which vindicated CM Punk in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there.
So what we'll do, we'll show evidence of the fact that you're wrong and he was right, and we'll think that will fucking make us look like we were in the right and he was in the wrong.
So yeah, Jack Perry returned, and there's a phrase: couldn't care less. Genuinely couldn't give a fuck that he's returned. Like
human dog shit.
Like
that's the phrase I would use for it.
It's just
74 Long Lane.
It's like vanilla, right? It's just there's just nothing endearing about him. He's smaller than Young Bucks. It's like, what the fuck? It's like I don't know. It's just there's just nothing enticing about Jack Perry being back that makes me want to watch AEW. And if anything, it makes me want to turn off the screen. To be honest,
the whole NWO bullshit which they're doing at the minute, with like the Elite or with the Bucks beating fuck out of TK. That's one of the worst bumps I've ever seen in my life as well. And I know somebody will probably go on Twitter or fucking TikTok or whatever and be like, oh, but he's not a wrestler, so he shouldn't be taking a bump like the wrestlers take a bump. I'm not saying that. That was one of the worst, sorry, not bumps. It was one of the worst sells of anything I've ever seen in my entire life. It was horrendous. That punch to the gut and then him just like flopping on the floor and then realizing about 3 seconds later that he needed to move. Shit. But they have thought that this will change everything. Podcast in hand. There we go. They thought that this would change everything. This would be the phoenix rising from the ashes of the viewing figures and everything. They've put the people who the viewers don't want to watch in the featured spots, expecting that to make a difference.
They think this is the Stone Cold Vince McMahon moment. That's exactly what they think, and they don't realize that
Tony Khan, embarrassing.
Tony Khan will never be Vince McMahon, and the Young Bucks have got no fucking shot of having anywhere near the talent fart of Stone Cold Steve Austin, nor anything else. I mean,
Stone Cold wouldn't let them pair of fucking absolute morons carry his bags into an arena, never mind fucking get him in the same breath.
I couldn't even fucking imagine walking into the same arenas that Stone Cold Steve Austin filled. It's horrendous, man. It's just not...
Grisly death, mate.
Fucking horrendous.
Grisly death.
I mean, you said about the sort of bump in the cell that Tony Khan had, and to be fair to him, the following week he was in neck brace and like the American football stuff, the draft, right?
Someone put on Twitter when it happened, they said, if Tony Khan is in the draft room, like in the war room with a neck brace on tomorrow, it's going to be the best thing ever. And then that tweet got fucking shared out the day after with a picture of him in the neck brace in the war room. Like, that is...
Did you see what he did though, right? He was wearing a neck brace, right? And he was like, hi, how you doing? It's like, there was no selling.
Take it off and scratched his neck.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's just... he's just an absolute prat. It's like
Just a fucking mark.
Just an absolute mark. That's exactly what it is. We've said it before. We could easily book AEW and make it significantly better, but it's his plaything, right? It's his toy.
I could give my son, my 2-year-old son, a bunch of cards with the wrestlers' names on there and a bunch of scenarios and say, "Come here, Logan, pick some of this and see who looks really good here and who looks really good there," and just let him pick a card of 6 matches. And he'd be able to pick a better fucking card than Tony Khan is booking right now. The guy's a moron. And it's sad because it's probably the last chance this is going to happen. If not ever, for a very, very, very long time. We haven't had anybody with this amount of money and this amount of opportunity and this amount of sort of talent available to try and do something like this. We haven't had this for a long time, and we won't have it. No network is going to pick up this, having all the shit that's been going on with AEW. No one's going to take a risk on it. If they do, it'll be like Vice just before they go bust or something, and they'll lose the network anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to.
WWE would never leave network television if they believe that there's still money in network television.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. That could, the move to Netflix could easily be the death nail in wrestling being on network TV. And
Yeah.
I think there's this fallacy going on Twitter about AEW. It's like, oh, you know, but there'll be more money for AEW. They're not going to fucking pay exorbitant amounts of money when you can't even hit 800,000 viewers on your main show. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
I mean, it's fair enough you saying like it's probably the death nail on it. They do have a couple of maybe outs is probably the wrong word for it. They teased recently Kenny Omega came back. Obviously, he's been diagnosed with diverticulitis, but he came back when they went to Canada, his home country, and the tease was there for Omega versus Okada, right? And that will sell because everybody wants to see number 4. But again, is it going to be just like Osprey versus fucking? Because the American audience, the fans in the audience, the live audience, know about Kenny Omega versus Okada, right?
Their audience does.
Their audience, exactly.
The 650,000 people who, regardless of anything, will watch that show, and they know who the Japanese guys are, and they know who they know the stories from 10 years ago or whatever. The tape trader guys.
But your Connecticut Jack and Jill with their 3 kids and the white picket fence, the standard American family, all they've been accustomed to is WWE. They're not going to give a fuck about that because there's no backstory. They don't know the history of it. They're not a smart wrestling fan.
Nope.
They're just a generic run-of-the-mill wrestling fan that, oh, right, okay, that looks pretty cool. And it's only if it does increase the viewership on TV, unless they do something really, really spectacular with the story of it that makes like everybody talk about it, it's not going to attract anything else. It's not going to attract any more viewers to it.
We've had this conversation before, and we've used this term a lot when we talk about TK, is like matchmaker.
Yeah.
He's making a match.
Yep.
He's not like drawing something. He's not telling a story. It's, I want to see my wrestling figure wrestle this wrestling figure. Now go and wrestle. Like, or the amount of times I've lost count of the amount of times on AEW television of I want to prove that I'm the best wrestler. No. I want to prove that I'm the best wrestler. Well, how about we prove that we're going to be the best wrestlers by having a match against each other? Like they had Osprey come in, didn't they? And he had that match with Takeshita recently. Mm-hmm. Takeshita and oh my god, what's his fucking name? The Jackal. Jesus Christ, what's his name? The manager for the heel.
Callis.
Don Callis. Jesus Christ, that's bad. So Don Callis is the manager of the heel faction, which Takeshita and Osprey are in. And his selling of this match that was put on the other pay-per-view that they did was, I want to show the world how good our heel faction is, by putting these 2 amazing talents together in a match on the pay-per-view. How fucking stupid is that? It's fucking stupid. Just because they wanted to see them have a match. Like, it just makes no sense. There's nothing there to draw. There's no animosity. There's no like personal issue. There's no feud. There's no jeopardy. There's nothing there at all apart from, I just want these guys to have a match to show how good they are. Like, on the indies, like, oh, let's get these 2 indie darlings together and have a fucking amazing match which has never been done before. Yes, sign me up. Yeah, let's have a bit of that. But it's took 2 years for Cody to finish his story, and every single person was in on that. One of the best stories, one of the best, the Bloodline thing and The Rock coming in and all that's one of the best things WWE have ever done.
And it's still going.
Exactly, which we'll probably touch on a little bit later anyway. But like, just having wrestler A against wrestler B having a match to say who's the best, it makes no difference. It will work for AEW. Is the best. It's the biggest crowd fund in the history of the world, probably. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity where all the planets and moons aligned for All In, the original one, with Cody and everyone, and they sold that arena out, 10,000 in fucking in Texas or whatever, and it was like, right, we found somebody who's going to bankroll this. We found the TV channel that's going to do it. The fans of that particular brand of wrestling willed this into existence by putting their money in the pocket, flying from everywhere around the country to go and put 10,000 people in this arena or whatever at this sportatorium or whatever it fucking is. They funded that. This is going to start now. But what they're doing is they're doing exactly the same stuff now when they've been around for 4 years or whatever, 5 years, than what they were doing back then. And you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
AEW was born because wrestling was in the shits, right? Yep. WWE was the only thing in the industry, and people were fed up because it was garbage. Vince McMahon had lost touch, and he wanted to put out what he did. He was doing what Tony Khan is doing now. He was putting out what he wanted. It was nothing to do with the WWE universe, right? The question I'm going to put to you just now, if WWE, right, at this moment in time, existed back then, so Triple H was in charge, etc., would AEW be in existence?
It might be in existence, but I don't think it would be on television. I think it would still be the indie level, where they would do a big show every 3 months, 4 months or whatever, a couple of shows a year underneath that, like, all-in banner, basically, with all those guys. But it wouldn't have boomed as much as it did, because it was the alternative, and that's what they set out to be, right? That all of their fucking press releases, all of their, they done that big launch, didn't they, where they had Jericho turn up and they done the big speeches and the rah-rahs, and it's gonna be a sports-paced presentation. We're gonna have ranking systems. It's gonna be the alternative. We know you guys are sick of what's going on. We're gonna give you the best product we can. That went to shit in about 3 days. And fucking Cody couldn't wait to get out of there. And that's the issue it is. And it's like I said, it's like, oh, we're only moaning about it because we care, sort of thing. Like, I want AEW to succeed. I need an alternative. I want to watch something which is different than WWE. Not because I hate the WWE, because I want to watch other stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But when the other stuff is really bad, you can't watch it. I can't watch it. It's hard. No, it's hard to watch. And it shouldn't be, because they've done some good stuff.
Yeah, of course they
have done some great stuff in the past. But when you're bringing in Okada and doing this with Okada, when you're bringing in fucking Ospreay and sort of doing this with Ospreay, like, he's fucking money. Like, he's one of the best performers in the world, and he if he's given the opportunity, given something to get his teeth into, he could make some money for you. When you have MJF, when you have CM Punk and you drop the ball with CM Punk, you're in the bin. Very simple. Yeah. Sad, man. It's annoying, it's frustrating. It's I can't think of, I need to get my thesaurus out. It's just frustrating.
Fucking stupid. That's what it is. There you go.
Stupid.
I mean, we'll go. There's one final example I want to talk about with AEW in terms of Tony Khan being matchmaker as opposed to booker, right? And that is the match that's coming up with the new elite, which is the Young Bucks, Okada and Perry versus FTR, which, the Bucks and FTR are ongoing.
Yep, there's history there. Yep.
Eddie Kingston and Daniel Bryan. Or Bryan Danielson. What? What?
Let's pick two of the only other faces that we have really, really got to go at here and put them in a stable against the heel team. That's all that's done there.
It's like Eddie Kingston again.
Everyone loves Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston, obviously, it was the Okada thing as well, right? In terms of the championship, that sort of thing. But I don't get what's Bryan Danielson. The fucking
All Atlantic.
Yeah, the fucking
tournament championship of the world.
BNM heavyweight champion or something. I don't know.
Fucking shite.
But I don't get the Bryan Danielson thing. I mean, I just don't get it.
So they can put him in there and have matches with people.
Great, I can't wait to see him sitting in the middle of the ring slapping fuck out Okada.
But it's just, it's one of them. They are very, they are quite heel heavy, AEW. They have their faces. Like, I mean, they brought in Ospreay and had him in the heel team, but he's a super face. So they pinned himself in they pinned themselves in a corner with that for a little bit. Like he still hasn't broke away from that group. He's still in the heel group, which is weird. Yeah, it's just silly. It's weird. The other people are sort of involved with other stuff. You can't have it's weird that they got Daniel Bryan in there, but you can't have a Samoa Joe come in because he's a bit of a tweener anyway. But what are you going to put in there, Hangman Page? It just doesn't work because he's an elite boy anyway. He's a face on the brand.
He's been suspended from the elite.
Oh, fuck off.
Much like Kenny Omega has been.
Darby Allin has broke his foot, which is highly hilarious because he was meant to be climbing Mount Everest and we can't. Clown. Do you know what?
Do you know his foot?
Do you know the story behind this? Do you know what happened?
No.
So he broke his foot before the angle to break his foot to write him off television so he could go and climb Everest. So he broke his foot in the match with Sting.
Right.
And they were going to do an angle, to Pillmanize him, which they did, but his foot was already broken. So art was imitating life or whatever it is. So he was getting written off telly with a broken foot, but he actually had a broken foot.
What a absolute farce, man.
And now he can't climb Everest because he's got a broken foot.
I never thought I'd say this. I actually miss Kenny Omega.
And a well-presented Moxley. Times are hard when I'm putting Moxley over.
It's it's
I agree.
Crazy.
Remember that time where they had the big show at Arthur Ashe and Kenny Omega and Daniel Bryan had that match?
Yep.
Remember that time when everything was amazing? And then MJF and CM Punk were cutting promos on each other, and you remember when Jericho was actually over and not running around being a moron? Remember when FTR were actually a big deal and they were having really good matches? Remember that hour-long match they had on Collision with Jay White and Juice Robinson, which was one of the best tag matches in history?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember it. Old man Smithers remembers.
I remember the day. But I mean, it shows you as well, Forbidden Door, talking about Arthur Ashe. Don't know what to do. But the Forbidden Door thing, you talked about Arthur Ashe, it's they can't afford to put it on. The Forbidden Door and that the big. Because they're too busy
paying fucking $10 million a year to fucking Mercedes Moné. Oh my god, I'm so happy to be here in All Elite Wrestling, getting paid all of this money. Slag nuts.
It's just it's so bad. So yeah, maybe season 3.
We're back, guys. We're fucking back.
We're back, baby. Right, okay. I think that's enough AEW bashing. We don't like to do it, but it has to be done because
getting hot. Getting hot.
Right, Oklahoma, you can go, this motherfucker.
God damn.
Okay, right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back doing the lists. We are here finally with the top 10 babyface lists. After several weeks after doing the heel list, we're going to do the babyface, the good cunts of wrestling.
When did we do the heel list? Sorry to cut you off there, mate. When did we do it? What date? What date was that show out?
I'll tell you what, I'll find out just now for you. Give me
I'll have a quick look. We'll have a race. See who get there first. You're definitely going to get there first.
24th of March.
I wasn't even anywhere close to getting there as well. The 24th of March.
Yep.
So it wasn't that long ago.
But we've also had 4 weeks off.
Has it been that long?
I mean, the last episode was... No, it's only the 14th of April. That was the last episode.
It's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks and a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Babyfaces in wrestling. Obviously, this is our opinions, where opinions mean everything and nothing at the same time. It's who we think are the good guys in wrestling. Someone that is the guy that you want to succeed. Yeah, or the guy that got so over as a babyface, he's got to be put on our list. Some big names on my list tonight. And again,
this is a big name list, isn't it? Really, yeah. You can't it is obviously opinionated, but it's very factual as well, isn't it? Yeah. Very broad stroke to a certain, not broad stroke, but yeah, there's going to be some big boy stuff in here.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have. We're certainly going to have some of the same names on our list. I'd be very surprised if we didn't. But there may be one or two, maybe left field. I don't know if we'll have a shaky moment. I don't think I do, but Anyway, well, shall we do it?
I
Hoxie,
think
it's been
my
a while.
honourable mention's going to be a shaky moment, mate.
You
That's it.
think?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's not a shaky moment, it's going to be a. Okay.
Interesting. I'm intrigued.
There you go.
Okay, Hoxie, you can do the honours. Number 10 for you, my friend.
My first one on my list, my number 10, is JYD, Junkyard Dog.
Okay.
When you
Nice.
look at the history of pro wrestling and big names within the history of pro wrestling, you can't really go much further than getting JYD. When you look at those southern territories in this sort of 70s, 80s, or whatever, this guy was over as
Yep.
fuck. Huge. In a time, especially within wrestling, where racism and the whole black champion thing and black wrestler thing, especially in those southern territories, was rife, and it was a bad situation and a bad place to be. There's a famous line by somebody, and I can't remember who it is. One of the promoters from back in the day said the only color that I worry about is green. Talking about money. I'm trying to think who that it might have been. Oh God, I'll butcher it anyway. But yeah, massively over. His promos made absolutely no sense, but all the sense at exactly the same time. Kids loved him. The dancing, everything. He was huge in that sort of New Orleans, like Louisiana territory. He was. Are you okay? He was mad. Coughing a lung up in the corner. Oh yeah, go on then. Oh, look at that look. Running from Kelly with a strongbow. Roll Tide. There we go. Yeah, JYD was sorry guys, there we go. We'll keep that in. Definitely keep that in.
Absolutely, yeah.
JYD was a big deal. Obviously he went to the WWE as well in mid 80s, maybe early 80s. Obviously wasn't as young as he might have been, but he was still like massively over.
Bill Watts said that.
Bill Watts, yes, the cowboy. That's what I was trying to think. Cowboy Bill Watts. He was still massively over. He was in the like all those cartoons, like the Hulk Hogan's cartoons and stuff. One of the main like characters in there, like loads and loads of toys for him. Like just a really big deal. If you saw JYD in the WWF, you probably might think like, what are you fucking talking about, Orksy? Like you're on crack or whatever. If you just go back like 10 years or 15 years or whatever before that and actually look at what he was doing in the South, in that regional territory system, he was fucking over. And they tried to replace him when he left and when he sort of got, because he had substance issues and a couple of issues and stuff like a little bit later on in his career. When they tried to replace him, they couldn't do it. They tried to bring in another black champion, and it just fell on its ass because he was that much of a big deal and he was that over. So for that reason, JYD number 10.
It's a really good shout.
Big deal.
Yep. He wasn't considered on my list, and I think it was just because I forgot. It's annoying me. That's a really good shout. Yeah, huge babyface, huge over. And I think you're absolutely right. You get sort of tarred with the WWE run or the WWF run a little bit.
Yes.
But before that, he was massive, absolute monster. Okay, good start. Solid start from Hoxie Boy. Okay, moving over to my number 10. He had to come on the list because he was so over at that time where Hulkamania was running wild. It was Ultimate Warrior. Everything about him.
Ooh, okay.
You know, everything about Warrior, like he was the quintessential babyface. Even when he returned to WWE before he died, so to go in the Hall of Fame, he still got that monster pop because he was the babyface that you want, right? He had the flamboyant look. He couldn't talk for shit, but he had. He
could. He couldn't make any sense of what he was saying.
He could talk. Let me rephrase that. He talked shit, but yeah, he had the look. He was Vince McMahon's wet dream, really, right? In terms of the fucking huge, the look. He had the guitar riff, the music, and all you need to do is just go back in time, look at the network, look at YouTube for any Ultimate Warrior entrance. and it's the pop, man, and the pop makes
Babies
the
in the
babyface.
air, right?
You know, that's what it's all about. And there are a few people in Malice coming up that sort of blurred the lines between heel and babyface. I'm sure you can think who that is a little bit, but are still babyfaces. Ultimate Warrior for me was just a babyface. Like we talked about it last time with the heels. With Roddy Piper, I didn't see him as a heel or a babyface. I saw him as Roddy Piper. You can't say that with Warrior. Warrior was a
Face through and
babyface.
through. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
Yep.
for me, it had to be Warrior.
He was a face in the ring, but a cunt outside of it.
100%.
So I'll be honest with you, mate. I have the Warrior rule. Basically, he's not going to get onto my list just because of how much of a piece of shit he was. He couldn't work a lick, but I agree. He was over as fuck, and he was a huge face in that time where there was other huge faces, and he got over. Greatest Native American gimmick in history.
Yeah, you said that a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Not be able to not see it once you realise it's a Native American gimmick.
Yep, you ruined it for me. Thank you, fucker. Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay,
this cider's going down very well, by the way.
It is so good. Cider. My number 9 is a WCW wrestler. Primarily, he's been in every other promotion that you can think of, though. And this is one of the guys that it sort of blurs the line. He could look like a heel, but he's a babyface. He was over his shit. It's Stinger. It's Sting.
Sting!
Thank you. Yeah, I could have done it that way. I think, you know, there was such a long time between his like end of WCW and going into WWE, but everybody knew who he was. You know, it was still that reaction, and that just shows you how much of a big deal he is. He went to TNA, exactly the same thing. He went to AEW, exactly the same thing, and that's testament to how over he was as that babyface.
Yeah,
and we've talked about obviously when he retired. We talked through like his sort of career and the period of time where he was up against the NWO. Where is he going to go? You know, is he going to be that heel that he looks like? You know, as the crow-faced Sting? And then it was obviously no, there's no shot. He is that babyface. He's going to go against NWO, and again, it's one of those ones. I think a lot of this list, I don't know about you, it could be in any order.
Oklahoma, give me 2 seconds.
I'll keep my podcasting hand here. But yeah, for me, it's got to be Stinger. Let us know what you think, listeners. Do you agree with what we said so far? So 10, Junkyard Dog for Hoxie Boy. Great shout. And for me, my 10 and 9 is Ultimate Warrior and Sting. Remember, you can email us at wrestlemark10@gmail.com. Tweet us at mark_out of10, or you could sub and comment on our YouTube, Instagram, and our TikTok. That's the one.
I'm very sorry. Sorry, dude. Sorry, guys.
I just plugged
sorry,
socials again. That's fine. That's not a problem. No problem.
So yeah, monitor at my missus. Take this,
motherfucker. Number 9 is Stinger. Yeah, can't say much more than that. We've talked a lot about Stinger over the last few months, so yeah.
I said earlier before we went live that there's someone that I had to knock off.
Him.
And it was Sting.
Yeah, fair dues.
Yeah, for all of the same reasons what you've just given. He's class. Yeah, love him. My number 9 is the effervescent, evergreen face. This guy never worked a heel day in his life. There's never a heel bone in his body, not even in his foot. It was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. You can't have a list of the greatest heels without Ricky the Dragon Steamboat on it. It can't really be done. Yep. It might be done with you. I don't know. But when you look at his work, when you look at his presentation, when you look at his runs in the different territories and the different promotions, whether it was WWF, whether it was WCW, he was always presented as that good guy, white meat, babyface, but he wasn't cheesy, he wasn't corny, it was believable, and he had one of the greatest matches ever of all time with Macho at WrestleMania 3 at the Pontiac Silverdome. I can't really, there's not like, obviously the run with Flair as well, those 3 matches with Flair, that trilogy, you had one of the greatest heels of all time in that prime spot, in that like 89 against the perfect, like, it's not a foil, it's like the perfect yin, the yin to the yang. You had those 3 matches with Steamboat. And the thing that I always love about that run as well is the way that Flair starts to turn into a face with that, obviously with the introduction of Funk at the end and stuff, because it's like he's having these 3 matches with this really straight down the line guy. He wasn't cheating, he was out wrestling, and it was like bringing that level of respect out of Flair and stuff. Like when you get a heel that good, who's starting to become a babyface by just working with a babyface, that's fucking cool. And that shows how much of a babyface Steamboat was. Even when he come back, when he done the WrestleMania stuff with like Jericho and stuff, like he was still over as fuck as a face. Like
he could go in that match. That match was fucking so good. So fucking good.
What, like late 40s, early 50s, maybe? Like, and he looked amazing. He looked unreal.
Incredible.
Yeah, dude, just one of the best champions ever, one of the best wrestlers ever, and one of the best faces ever. I don't, like, somebody might have an opinion and be like, oh, he's maybe not in my top 10, but he will be on a list, if you know what I mean, as like one of the best ever. And
he's on my list later.
There you go. Yeah, he's fucking class. He's so good. He's so good.
So good.
So yeah. Ricky Dragon Steamboat.
Great shout. Number 9. Moving on to your number 8, Toxie Boy.
Shit. I was about to take a drink. My number 8 is Bret the Hitman Hart.
Okay.
The Pink and Black Attack. Best there is, best there was, the best there ever will be. You can't, not necessarily personal for me, because he's one of my favourites ever. But he had everything. I know he obviously the earlier on stuff with like the with Anvil and stuff. You know what I mean? The heart attacks or whatever was a bit healy, but when he went solo and sort of got involved and was that champion and was rolling as that face, like the kids loved him. The sunglasses thing, like everybody. He was on television. He was on TV, like TV shows. He was on prime time. He was in sports events. He was that sort of face champion before like the scenes of the world doing like fucking Make-A-Wish, and like, I mean, he was about doing stuff like that. He was over as fuck in a time where the business was on its arse. He was one of their main drawing faces. In top feuds with one of the best feuds ever is obviously him and Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? So when his promos obviously weren't amazing, but they were real. Like he fought for what he believed in. Like as a wrestling face, you want the person to be fighting for good and to be fighting for what they believe in for the people.
Yeah.
And he done that. Like he wasn't, you know what I mean, like a JYD going, let me tell you, Mercy, and like just all this stuff. He was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make sure that this guy who's a piece of shit is going to get what is coming to him and what's owed to him. Like, I'm going to hold this belt with integrity and honor, and I'm going to do this for you guys, for you people, whatever. Like, the promos weren't amazing, but he believed every word that he said, and everybody believed what he was saying. And then he went out there and just had the best match with everybody he ever worked with, and made the heel look $1 million. And the heels that he worked with, he worked in such a way, the psychology of the matches got him over even more as well. The matches he had with Diesel, he had Kevin Nash's greatest match ever at SummerSlam 94 or 95 or whatever it was. Yokozuna, for fuck's sake. Like, let's be honest, Bret Hart's not a big guy, right? Yoko's decent size. Like, he had proper matches with a huge threat, like Yokozuna, and got over, and obviously feuds with Michaels and the whole thing, the whole shebang. So, yeah, everyone loved him. The Pink and Black Attack, Bret Hart, and he's one of my favourites ever. So he had to get on this list for me.
Bret was on my list, but I took him off, and I took him off quite early, and there's a reason behind it. I always felt Bret was a better heel. Right, I know he was over his shit, right? For me, he was a better heel, and I feel the gimmick, the black and pink, the excellence of execution, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, just screams heel for me. You know, and I totally get it. In the ring, he's incredible.
I'm the best.
You know,
No one's going to touch me in this ring.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
if you think of all the heels in history, like Ric Flair, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. Woo! And then you've got fucking CM Punk. I'm the best in the world. You know, Jericho. I'm the best in the world at what I do. And it just, for me, there was a disconnect. And I know he was over his shit. And the glasses bit, I think he would have got over as a heel much better than a babyface. I think he would have been even bigger than he was if he was just a prick, because he's monotonous on the mic, which lends itself naturally to more heel, in my opinion. But I understand why he's on your list. He was going to be on mine as well, but like I say, I took him off fairly quickly just because of the reasons.
He was one of the main reasons why the WWE grew internationally.
Yeah.
As much as it did.
Yeah.
Obviously, the whole heel in the USA and a babyface everywhere else.
Yeah.
Like in the world, like was sort of testament to that, really. I always love, like, do we talk, like we talk quite a bit on here about like sliding doors moments and stuff. Like in that, when he got that first title off Flair, when he won it on Raw, because Flair was going back to Atlanta. Like, who else was there at that time?
Yeah,
that could have took that belt off Flair.
He was a perfect babyface champion at that time, considering who you think is on the roster for the heels. I totally agree with you. Any other time, like if he was in his prime now, heel him every day of the week. It would have to be. If you think about the sort of way the wrestling is, I think he's the babyface they needed at the time. The fact that he could go up against the bigger guys like the Yokozunas, the Kevin Nashes, etc., the Diesels, and still pull out great matches. It makes sense. It's just that, like I say, for reasons for me, I just think the gimmick of Bret Hart and the phrase and the catchphrase and stuff, and just the look and his sort of tone on the mic. Just
do you know what? I've never ever thought about it that way before until you've just said that thing about like that slogan being heelish. It's never even crossed my mind. It's probably because I'm just such a Bret Hart fan, but when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Like, you wouldn't shout about being the best if you were. Like, you want everybody to know that you are if you're saying it. That's great. Oh, a great take. Fair play.
Thanks.
Scrap him. He's gone on my fucking heel list. Fuck this shit. No, good take. Like that.
Thanks, man.
I'm here for that.
Okay. Bret Hart.
But yeah, number 8 for me.
Valid addition to the list. Like I say, he was probably my 11th or 12th, I think it was, but that was the reason I took him off. Okay. My number 8, and it's a guy that we mentioned a couple of times, especially in the first show, and I put him on just for the period of time he was the champ in terms of longevity, but also the time period in which he was champ as well. The time, and it's Bruno Sammartino.
Okay.
In the territory he was in, like New York, tough territory, for him to be the champion for that long and to be the baby kissing, lifting the babies in there type guy, and that was him. I think, a bona fide Hall of Famer, a bona fide champion. He has to go on there. He was probably the first major babyface when you think about the definition of babyface as it is now. And you're not going to be champion for that length of time in one run. And obviously, if you combine them, if he didn't get injured, legit.
10, 11.
Something stupid, something ridiculous. I think that's
more than a decade anyway.
Yeah,
combined.
100%.
Yep.
I think he's probably not on your list, but I just think it was. He had.
He is on my list.
Oh, as well. There you go. He had to be put on the list for babyfaces because he is the quintessential babyface, like I said before. Different time, different sort of definition of babyface, but he ticked all the boxes for me.
Yep.
Done.
There we go.
He's on your list later.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll talk about him a little bit later. Yeah.
To be fair, this is going to be a quick one. Number 7 is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for me.
There we go. Not that far off. 2 places. Not exactly. That far off at all.
You covered everything I wanted to cover. It's a case of him and Flair. We mentioned Flair being the perfect heel. He was one of the perfect baby faces that needed to go up against Flair. He could work. He's fucking incredible. And like you say, the work he did with Jericho when he came back was incredible as well. The 3 matches with Flair will stand the test of time. That's your 6.5 fucking star match right there.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat what you've said, Hoxie. It's just he had
'Cause
to be honest.
he wasn't a very good promo either. Like
No,
Steamboat,
not at
like he
all. No.
wasn't amazing. But it's once again like he whatever he did, he got over it. He was over shit. He's probably one of the, if this was like working baby faces
Yep.
in terms of like in ring baby faces, to get like to get sympathy from a
Yep.
crowd, facials and work and the quote unquote fighting from underneath, he's probably the best to ever do it, if not number two to Ricky Morton.
Yep.
Amazing, amazing talent. Yeah, so good.
This is why baby faces and heels are so different. With heels, you've got to be good on the mic or have a really good spokesman on the mic to be a
Yes.
good heel.
Yeah.
Whereas with a baby face, you can just outwork everyone. You know, I mean, like San Martino's the perfect example of that. If you can speak on the mic, that's a fucking added bonus, right? As a baby face. But if you can sell, if you can connect with the audience, it's like we played that clip about Jim Cornette talking about that's wrestling. You know, in terms of the baby face. You know,
The
you
fight at
want
the
to beat
side
the
of the
shit.
road. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you know that's what it's about. And Ricky Steamboat did that, right? He fucking made that connection, and he still does to this day. It's even when he was involved with Sting's last match in AEW. You know, he didn't, he hardly did anything, but the crowd were there for it.
Pop was
So,
there. Yep. Yep. Just
so
seeing
yeah,
his
man
little
number
face
7.
on the Titantron, right? It's like, oh my god, it's fucking Steamboat. Ah! Sick. It's awesome. Awesome.
Number 7 for you, Mr. Hoxie.
Number 7 for me is Mick Foley. The many faces of Foley, Jack, fucking Mankind, whatever. It's all of Mick Foley's stuff. I've said this before. Mick Foley has the more and more you think about his career and what he did, what he's done, where he's been, what he's been involved in, what he was, his big moments or his not so many, his feuds and his building of people. He is definitely on the Mount Rushmore conversation.
It has to be.
Not necessarily like for me to like put it, but if you were to sit 10 proper wrestling fans in a room and start talking about Mick Foley's career, the more you start talking about it, the more you will think, holy shit, this guy was, just because he wasn't 6'4" and fucking 280 pounds and ripped and cut and fucking all this, that, and the other, and he wasn't a gimmick or had all this, that, and the other, but for a long time, forever, everything that he's done was brilliant all of the time. Mrs. Foley's baby boy, like as a face, the promos, the psychology, the matches, like he went from being like that Cactus Jack, like bumping heel, to actually being like a character. Like every single thing that he done, you connected with him when he'd done the sit down interviews and you had those conversations, the stuff that he used to do with Jim Ross, and he was asking why and what and ever, like you sympathized with him, like you wanted him. He's your best mate. He's like the nice guy, like he's the everyday dude, like he's your next door neighbor, like he's the guy who borrows you the fucking lawnmower when yours breaks and you never give it back, but he doesn't complain. You know what I mean? It's that cat. He's just the guy you would want to go for a drink with down the pub. Like he got that across in what he did. But then when he went in the ring, he was fucking amazing. Like you know what I mean? He's gone from that absolute nut job, Mankind pulling his hair out, squealing like a pig, to being like Mrs. Foley's baby boy and the cheap pops and everything. It's just amazing. Just so the nice guy. Yeah, and Foley he's a phenomenal face in one of the most hardest eras of professional wrestling to get out of. And he got out of it looking the way that he did. Not like a wrestler. He doesn't look like a wrestler, especially in the Attitude Era. He's not a Stone Cold. He's not a fucking Triple H. He's not. It doesn't work that way. But he rose to the top.
Cream always does, mate. Cream always does. And
Foley's amazing.
King of the cheap pop, which we'll talk about Mick later.
There we go. I knew. I'm happy about that. I knew he was going to be on here. I knew he was going to be on here for you. That's really good.
Be, man. It's like Okay, moving on to your number 6 before we do an intermission for WWE.
My number 6 is it's The Rock, old Dwayne.
Yep.
People will argue. You might speak to this as well. Oh, The Rock was more of a heel, or what? Like, he done both very, very well.
Yep.
But I think when you look back on his career, like the love and the adoration for him is going to come from him being a face.
Yeah.
Like even when he was trying to be a heel with like his catchphrases and dressing people down and like the comments that he would make, like you know what I mean, like the jokes and stuff, like people would laugh. They wouldn't boo him for taking the piss out of the face. They would laugh and cheer him on. So to me, that's de facto you're a face, like you know what I mean. And he wasn't the traditional babyface really, but he was, and he was over as fuck. One of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
You can't have one of the greatest ever without having him on this list. If he was a face, you know what I mean. He was cool as fuck. Like dudes wanted to be him. Women wanted to be with him and all that. So he was just over in everything that he did. It didn't matter what he did. He would go out there and try to be a prick. The only stuff recently is like believable because I think people are more smart to it now. Like he is like the owner and he's got his daughter a job and like you know what I mean. Like people, it's like, oh fuck, we didn't want you, Rock. We wanted Cody. Like that was a proper heel run back in the day, like 97 to 2002, 2003 or whatever. When he was dropping in and out, it wasn't really a heel run.
Nah.
And you've got the stuff with like the Rock and Sock connection. Obviously, we just spoke about Mick Foley. Like when putting those two guys together and just having loads of fun. Like he's really good. The Rock for me, he was a really good heel, but it wasn't the traditional. And he's a really, really good babyface, and it's not traditional. Yeah, just cool as fuck, man.
Yep.
Good in the ring, good on the mic. I knew this. I'm so happy. I just, amazing. Love him. Class.
Great. Yep. We'll talk about him a little bit as well.
Cool.
Okay. My number 6 is Mrs. Foley's baby boy, Mick Foley.
Very close, right? Very close.
To be fair, I reckon our next like 5 after this is going to be very similar as well. To be fair, I mean, what more can you say? I'm a huge Mick Foley fan. You said about the matches, the psychology, etc. The moments, as I said as well. You know, it's like when you think about it. You know, he was up against Undertaker, who was very much the heel in that match, thrown off the cage. It's like just everything. He's just so good. I think he's.
That was the skyrocket for that babyface, wasn't it? That
yeah.
cage match, that Hell in a Cell, was real, and people saw Mick Foley. They didn't see Mankind.
Yeah,
so I think that was the start of everything.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
I think also like absolutely. I mean,
sorry,
he was involved with the biggest pop in WWE. Fucking Stone Cold Smash for him to win the WWF Championship at the time.
What's in seats, right?
That's what it's all about, man. I mean, yeah, I think he's really underappreciated, Mick Foley, in terms of his contributions to the business. As you say, he's not, you know, your cookie cutter wrestler. He does not look like it. He shouldn't have been as successful as he was. And then when he finished up in the ring, he went on to the commissioner role. He was, you know, the perfect foil when you think about Vince McMahon being Mr. McMahon. You know, the ultimate heel, as we talked about last time. He was again the great sort of second in command good guy. You know, it just worked.
The anti-establishment, the fighting against Vince
one for the people. You
Yeah.
know, it's like so yeah, Mick Foley had to be on my list. So yeah, he's my number 6. Okay.
Do you know we had a discussion on our heel list, didn't we, about Edge? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That WrestleMania match with Edge and Mick Foley, that hardcore match. Who did they pick so Edge could get over as a super face against a super heel? Just saying. Let's move on.
Can't fucking call a super heel.
Fucking roll your eyes at me. Motherfucker.
Shut your whore mouth. Okay, right. As I say, we are going to take...
Cough a fucking lung up. Jesus.
We're going to take a brief break in terms of our list, as ever, and we're going to go and talk about a bit of WWE. We talked about AEW and how we're disappointed with how it's going. But with WWE, it's been really good. I'm really surprised that, I was worried after Mania that they would sort of lose momentum a little bit. It's like it was a crescendo for like Cody's story, etc.
It was a huge finish, wasn't it?
Massive finish.
Yeah.
And, there's a couple of things we're going to talk about in terms of individuals, but for me, the worrying thing was how do they follow up an event like WrestleMania? Backlash was the next one in France, and I was worried that I was going to shit the bed, but I watched it. I watched it sort of like as it was happening. I was in Spain at the time. I was sitting on my balcony watching it with a nice cider, cold cider as the sun was setting. Yeah, pretty much like that. And I was really impressed with Backlash. The French crowd were tippity top, man. So good.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. The
Amazing.
noise. So,
which pains me. So I have
Yeah.
to say nice things about the French.
Sacre bleu. So, I mean...
What motherfucker is in French?
Le merde de fuck.
Wheeze laugh. Jesus Christ.
So, before we get into Backlash, I mean, we'll talk about the crowd. And on the SmackDown they recorded before it, there was actually like a decibel warning that came through certain people in the crowd. It's like over
On their
100
smartwatches.
decibels.
Yeah.
It was insane. If you haven't seen that, go on Twitter. I'm
Your
sure you can find it.
environment is too loud. Please, leave or fucking put earphones in or whatever. Madness.
Just so good. Now, you've watched Backlash up until you haven't seen the main event yet. Is that right? You've just been so busy. I think that's right.
I watched it last night.
Right, okay.
And I had to go to bed, basically.
So tired.
I was knackered. So the only thing I haven't watched is the main event. I've watched every other match. I've watched the other 4 matches. Yeah.
I can't believe Cody's story finished already, but spoiler.
I wanted to watch it today, but...
So let's go through the matches, right? So we've seen all of them 1 to 4, but first one was the tag team street fight, the Bloodline, which was Sol Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Obviously with Paul Heyman, defeated Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Now, whenever you see a tag team street fight, you sort of go, I don't know about this. But for me, we talked about this just before we came on to record. This was how a street fight should be done, and it was done so well. Yeah?
The whole... I mean, so the crowd made this whole thing for me. They probably stepped it up maybe 2 gears than maybe what the presentation was. So we'll have that as a little bit of, not a caveat, but just a little bit of, it's there. It's floating about, okay? But when Owens came out, when that music hit for Kevin Owens, obviously he's French-Canadian,
Yep.
They just went... What he should have done, and if it was me, and no matter what any fucker else had said, he should have grabbed a microphone and said something in French, or cut a promo or whatever, because it would have went from fucking here, which was really high, to just literally skyrocket. That crowd would have been on fire. But the way they've done it, like everything was kicking off before they rang the bell, and it's like, what's his name? Oh my God, Magnus Aldis comes out. We're gonna make this a street fight, like just
crazy,
just the best,
so good,
just the best thing. So it was really well done as well. It wasn't just spot to spot to spot. They were like reacting to what the crowd were like pointing them in the right direction of. It was a brawl. It was like they were in the crowd. It was a bit of wrestling. It was furniture, but it wasn't just furniture for the sake of furniture. It wasn't, let's just do everything now and get it done.
Yep.
Like the match was like 20, 25 minutes long or whatever. Yeah, so and they just,
19 and a half minutes. Yep.
They just brought everybody with them. It was fucking brilliant.
It was so well done.
Really good match.
I'm going to go away from the match and go to like the production. This was the first time that I've seen a match where it goes into the crowd and it wasn't cutting back and forward. It was picture in picture.
They done picture in picture.
It was fucking incredible. It was so good. It was like, it was just so different. It was a sports presentation, you know?
Yeah.
We talked about that before. And as you say, the crowd were there right from the get-go. They were chanting for tables, but they waited and waited and waited.
They didn't
and then
give it to them straight away.
You saw Randy Orton go, "You want tables? I'm getting tables."
He said to Owens, he was like, "It's time for the tables." Like he called it, and Owens because they were like doing some shit with the trash cans or whatever, and like it just shows. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put Randy Orton over again. It just shows how much he is in tune with what's going on. Like it just shows how good he is. Like they were chanting. He's like, okay, I'll give him a couple of minutes for them to forget about it, and then when they do see them, it's just going to go. You know what I mean? And it was class. It was really good.
Do you know why you can tell it's a different era as well? Because they don't hold back with the furniture shots.
There was an unprotected shot to the head on Tama Tonga with the bin. I messaged you and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this is crazy. Like, it's
like the one that it's always like the usual bin shot. But once the bin was done, they usually throw it away. Like they used the bin and then turned it around and rattled it from the base onto his head, like the thicker bit. I was like, this is so fucking good. I love it.
Mad. There was a really cool bit as well where like there was Sikoa and Owens were fighting, and then like he went to picture in picture, and like Randy was like looking around, and like the commentators were like, "Oh, like Randy's looking for like Tama Tonga," and Tama Tonga would like went and jumped on fucking Kevin Owens, and was like a whole like it wasn't just two guys fighting in separate parts. Like Tama Tonga had got free from Randy and like fucked off to go and beat the shit out of Kevin Owens. Like it's little stuff like that makes a big difference. It wasn't just, oh, this is what we have to go and do. This is what we have to go and do. They went and done stuff. I've said this before. We had this conversation, didn't we, about when Tama Tonga was leaving New Japan and the rumors and whatever. Like, he did not look out of place in that ring at all. He was a bit slow on the comeback for the bumps for Randy when he done his like bump and feed. But apart from that, like, he looks $1 million. And
that was his first in-ring match, though, right?
Yeah.
So for WWE, and I mean, again, that's as a testament to Paul Levesque as well. The fact that he trusted him to go into a premium live event, first match. Like, obviously, I'm assuming he's
match as well. It's a featured
huge match. Yeah, first match in the card. Really, really difficult spot for him to go in. But no, I thought, like you say, he doesn't look out of place, and you know, obviously, the result doesn't really matter. I think that was just
it's a placeholder.
The placeholder there, and it was for Tanga Loa to make his debut as well from under the ring. You know, we'll talk about the Bloodline storyline later on, but really good match.
So fucking cool.
So good.
So good.
Then we went on to the triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship: Bayley, Naomi, and Tiff Stratton. Now, I'm going to say something first. I'm not the biggest fan of Naomi. You know that. We've talked about this before. We talked about it when Naomi returned to WWE. This has been Naomi's best match since she's returned. Right? I think she looks faster. She looks a lot fitter. She's obviously been working really hard in the Performance Center. And I said to you, I think it might have been the last podcast or the one before, she's obviously became lazy when she went into like the TNAs, etc., because she didn't need to raise that level. And this is a totally different bar that she's got to hit. It wasn't great from her, by no means, but it was significantly better. Bayley is Bayley, and Tiffany Stratton, we've said it before, is a fucking star. Absolute star in the making. That's my point.
She's money. It was what I loved about the match, not necessarily but the way Bayley was enjoying it.
Yep.
And you could see her enjoying it. And I think the more the crowd was seeing her enjoying it, the more they were giving it as well. It was weird to have two faces and a heel. Yep. It's usually two heels and a face. So the dynamic of the match was really different. I can kind of see what you're saying about Naomi. I think she's dreadful. I'm surprised she was in this match, to be honest with you, but that's by the by. But she looked a little bit better than she did. I'll give you that. But Bayley's class. She's just class. And Stratton is amazing. She's so athletic, and she looks really good in there as well. She's got like her presentation is down. She's obviously still green as the grass, but like she wasn't massive. She looked better than Naomi in this match.
Yeah.
For me.
I love her moonsault. The prettiest moonsault ever is just phenomenal.
Yeah, that 3-level moonsault is fucking class. And The 3D was in there as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
Part of the finish, which was good fun.
It was good.
But the crowd was so into this match. They were really, really on board. Some of the near falls they did, some of the psychology, some of the high spots. It wasn't like, oh my god, this match is amazing. Like, it wasn't the match of the night for me but it was really good. I rated it.
Yeah,
It was a really decent match.
I think Bayley for me is always she'd always be a babyface, right? I didn't really like her heel work. I just think it was very contrived, really.
Yeah,
just all the time. It was like blah 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 blah. She's a babyface, but what I love about it, she's a babyface now, but she's not had to resort back to her hugger gimmick.
Yeah,
like the hugger gimmick.
Yeah,
hugger gimmick worked in NXT because of the crowd size, etc. It wouldn't. I don't think it would translate as well into the big screen. So yeah, I love this Bayley.
The only thing I don't like about this Bayley is her music. Her music is fucking shite.
Terrible.
What you usually find as well in triple threat matches is there's always long periods of the match, excuse me, where one of the wrestlers will get like just yeeted out. They'll just get powdered like shit canned or whatever, and it's like one-on-one. The vast majority of this match, all three of them were doing stuff. So that the dynamic of that usual triple threat where it's like, okay, well, I'll kick you out and then we'll do a bit, and then you come in and yeet me out and then we'll do. Then you'll do a bit. Like, there wasn't much of that at all, which is really, really cool. The finish was nice. Finish was good. I think they could have built the finish slightly. For me, who the fuck am I? But for me, if they could have built the match a little bit differently with the near falls. They could have put a few more near falls closer to the end, because I think the finish took the crowd by surprise. They weren't ready for it. I know they were all involved in their own shit or whatever, but I think they could have had a couple of more near falls towards the end. It would have brought the crowd with them for that finish.
I'm going to go back to what you said. You were really surprised with two babyface and a heel in the match. I was really surprised Naomi didn't turn heel at the end of it.
Interesting.
I thought the bit where they hugged, I thought it was a perfect opportunity for Naomi to like kick the living shit out of Bayley. To be perfectly honest, I thought that was a perfect opportunity for her to turn heel. But I don't know. We'll wait and see. But yeah, I would really look forward to a Bayley versus Tiff Stratton match, like 1-on-1. I think that'd be really good. Yeah, really good. Okay, so that was 13 minutes long, actually. Okay, next
13? God, it felt longer than that.
Yeah, it was only 13. That was the shortest
match.
Good bit
of business, then. That was a good bit of business. Yeah, fair play to him. Yeah.
Third match was Damian Priest versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm not sold on Damian Priest, and I'm not sold on Jey Uso. So for me, this match was it was all right. It was fine. Damian Priest is a holding champion until someone gets put in the. He's a transition champ. He's not there for the long haul. I don't imagine. I'd be
Which
very
he
surprised.
shouldn't be.
No, he shouldn't be. No, but
no.
He's not. His presentation up to the point where he won the World Heavyweight Championship was not good. He should never have won Money in the Bank. If he was going to do that, he should have been potentially the first World Heavyweight Champion. I don't know. I don't know how I would have booked it, but it's just not the right time. He can't follow Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is a level above him, in my opinion. And if you think about the other people that are on that roster, I would rather have like a Gunther as World Heavyweight Champion. Much more believable for me. The way he carried the IC belt. Then you've got CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. If those two weren't in it shows you what happens when there's injuries, right? It's like, because there's no way this is how it would have played out before. But what I do like about it is, we said it before, the World Heavyweight Championship, when we were talking about Cody finishing his story, and you were like, this is the secondary title. This is a great title for elevating those guys that aren't quite at the premier like title. You know what I mean? Like a Jey Uso, how do they cope in the sort of main event? Damian Priest, how do they cope in the main event? This is a sort of, right, you've done NXT, let's go to the World Heavyweight Champion, then become WWE Universal Champion. It's that transition.
Isn't that what the IC belt's for? Not a fucking WWE Championship. Sorry, World Heavyweight Championship.
World Heavyweight Championship, yeah. But there's just something disconnect. The match was okay. Do I know what it? I can't actually remember much of the match, and that tells you everything.
It was the crowd were, they give Uso a big welcome, didn't they, with the lights and the
That was
the
incredible.
stuff. Michael Cole was quite funny. He said, I'm not Pat McAfee. I ain't going to be standing on top of the table, fucking yeeting or whatever, but I'll do it sitting down. Like, I just think that's quite funny. Michael Cole was very good on this show, by the way. And I'm not a massive Michael Cole fan. I think it just goes to show when Vince was in his ear. It was just coming from
It's
that.
chalk and cheese, man. Chalk and cheese.
They had so they're either going to swerve us, bro. But you've got Damien Priest telling JD McDonough and Finn Balor to stay away. And when they were doing the run-ins, he was like, "What are you doing? Like, go away! Like, I've told you, stay away, stay in the back." And then they started kicking the fuck out of Uso at the end, and then he like pushed them off and he grabbed. I tell you what, if I was Finn Balor, I wouldn't. For Finn Balor being the first Universal Champion and a big deal there, he pushed him out the way, and then he fucking grabbed his face. As if to say, like, don't you fucking dare, like, grabbed onto Finn Balor's face. Like, I would have, what the fuck you doing? Prick. Anyway, that's just me. But I agree. He doesn't, his gear is shit. He's a world heavyweight champion and he's wearing trainers in the ring, which just for me is fucking go away heat anyway. When he was the Archer of Infamy in NXT, he was a fucking badass. He was cool as fuck. He was dripping with charisma. Now he looks like a fucking Wish.com fucking Undertaker, basically. It's really, really bad. They need to strip away the Judgment Day bullshit, get him back to being cool. They've got that, like, this fucking, like, South American, the Champione kind of thing going on, but it doesn't match him because he looks like a fucking goth. Like, there's not many cool Puerto Rican goths. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, Razor Ramon wasn't a goth. He was cool as fuck. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. he
doesn't drip machismo.
No. And he did for a long time.
He was incredible in NXT.
He's a big guy. He can work. He's good looking. His moveset's good. He's decent on the mic. Present him in a different way. And the only thing that I can think is they're going to break him away from the Judgment Day stuff and he might get back to being a little bit different. He has got really, really bad fucking Bam Bam Bigelow gear as well, and it really annoys me. When he takes the straps off and he's got his upper body on show, he looks like a fucking badass. When he comes out and he's got like the singlet on and the long with his trainers, he does not look like a world heavyweight champion. He looks like an indie guy who's got some good budget for some decent gear. But he's wearing fucking trainers. Wrestling trainers, you fucking knob. So annoying. Sorry, it's one of my fucking pet peeves. People who wrestle in fucking trainers. Wear some boots. Wear boots. Wrestling boots. Not train. Everybody can wear trainers. You're going for a run. You're resting somebody. Anyway, sorry. I'm half-fat. Yeah, fuck this. But yeah, I thought it was bang average.
Yeah.
Too many super kicks again.
Yep.
Usos love a super kick. Wait, it's too much now. It's gone past the point of like, oh, it's an Uso thing. Like, it's too much. I'm maybe a little bit more sold on than Uso than you are. I think he's out of the two. He's better than the two.
Jay's definitely Jay's the Shawn Michaels and Jimmy is the fucking.
I think in another universe or another life, I think Jey Uso could be like a real big deal. I think he's at that moment. I'm not saying he's good. He would have been a Roman Reigns, but he's in the period where he was always going to be in that shadow because of how he was presented when he was in that group.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a match. It was decent. It was okay.
I do like Priest's finish though. What's it called? It's like a choke. It's like a sit-out choke slam thing he does. Is it something heaven? From heaven, far from heaven, or something?
Let's have a look.
Choke slam.
South of heaven.
South of heaven. He comes up and he sits out like the opposite way than the guys take the bump. I think that's a really cool finish.
I mean, Hidden McIntyre was a thing of beauty. I mean,
McIntyre got up for him as well, big time. But yeah, really it was. It was once again. I think it was a glorified Raw match.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree
A
with that.
Raw,
Yeah.
glorified Raw main event because there was angles in there.
I mean, you can tell from the position on the card, right? It's one of those cards that was like it's middle of the pack, lost in the shuffle a little bit. It is what it is. Anyway, moving on. Number 4 in the card was Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, for the WWE
Kabuki
Women's
Warrior
Tag
thing is
Team
so bad.
Championship.
So
Sorry?
bad. Kabuki Warrior thing is awful. Kabuki Warrior name. It's dreadful.
It's terrible, right?
It's dreadful, yeah.
Considering the talent that's in the Kabuki Warriors, it's like they deserve something so much better. It's like
Fucking Hall of Fame talent, easy. Pair of them.
Just so
Definitely
good.
Asuka anyway.
It's like Kairi Sane is like she's just so good. But yeah, Asuka's different level. But Jade and Bianca, their gear looked phenomenal. And then
I'm just going to come out and say it, mate. I'm just going to come out and say it. Maybe for the both of us, but definitely for me. Jade and Bianca were absolutely unreal.
Yep.
On this. Oh my god. Oh, it's too much.
See, when Jade took off that jacket, I actually said, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah. How good was the snow as well? The storm, the snow thing was fucking sick. That hurt. She's fucking money. Money. And they are presenting her in a way now where, like, she's going to be a big deal. And she's so much better in the ring now. Just by being there for a few months. She is night and day better than what she was when she was in AW. Night and day.
She's stiff as fuck, though. Holy shit.
Snug. She's a big girl, though, mate. She's a big girl. It don't come natural to her, and she's a big girl. When you're wrestling fucking Kairi Sane, who's like 4'3", 82 pounds or whatever, you know what I mean? You're gonna. Not Kairi Sane. It's Kairi Sane, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Like, when you're as big as her, it's going to be difficult not to look snug. I think there was a bit where she done like a kick to one of them. That She booted. It might have been Sane, and she fucking literally flew across the ring. I watched that. I was like, Jesus! Like she's saying that. Actually, she got up and she was like looking as if to say like what the fuck do I do now? Like it was so fun. It was so fun.
Finish though. It looks so good. I mean, she's done that finish before, right? She did that against Sky Blue in AEW.
Yeah.
But it looks fucking great, man.
Yeah. So she had her up and she threw her up. It was almost. Oh, I'm trying to think how she got her into it now because she didn't get it into the way that she would normally would do, didn't she? She was it fireman's carry up on the shoulders, then up and then caught her, wasn't it? So it was like on the shoulders, like not a fireman's carry, like a electric chair position, wasn't it?
Electric chair, and then she
threw her up and then fucking caught her before she hit the floor. Like, dude,
so good.
Yeah, she's.
And we've got new champions, basically. A really good match.
Yeah.
It's like
they had matching gear.
Yep.
I guarantee, right, when Bianca got this presented to her, she would have been like. Like, I'm getting into a run with the singles. I've had matches with Becky Lynch. Like, I've had matches with Rhea. I've held the belt. Like, I want to be in that mix. Like, I don't want, like, why is Liv Morgan coming back? Like, I want to be wrestling Rhea for the title. Trust us, Bianca. You're going to get Jade with you. You're going to go on and going to do all this sort of stuff. Okay. But I bet you now she's like, yeah, this is fucking sick. Because they look amazing together. If there's anybody who could be comparable in that women's division to Jade, it is her.
Yep.
Like they're both like big jacked up fucking girls, but they can go. Matching gear, fucking tag team moves. You know what I mean? Like doing tag team moves. The finish was her finish, and then her finish into the pin, and like it was such a cool presentation. I think it's class. I think it's so good, really good.
It's going to be interesting to see how they go because I don't think the women's tag team division doesn't have much strength and depth. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. What happens. And obviously, you haven't seen the main event, Cody Rhodes versus AJ. Really good match. The crowd were into it, man. Like I'm not going to tell you anything, but what I want to do is I want to talk about Cody Rhodes. Right? What do you think of his reign so far?
I think it's been a bit cute. He hasn't got much to go at now. You almost you almost wanted The Rock to stay, so they could spend the next 3 or 4 months building to
Something.
Royal Rumble at Royal Rumble SummerSlam. Like you almost wanted that, but we're not going to get that. If you know what I mean, at least for a bit. But it's like, okay, we've done this amazing thing. We've got the bloodline thing going on. What do we do next? Like, what's next? Who's next? Who is next now? AJ's like, because I would take it he won. He's not going to be losing the first match. Like, what comes after this?
He needs to change the record. It's the same promo. It's all Dusty. It's all this. It's all about Dusty. It's all about, it's just dull. This was my biggest fear about Cody becoming champion.
He just needs something to go at. He just needs something to go at. They need to feed him. Every face needs a machine. They need to feed him stuff. Right, Hulk Hogan was talking about fucking taking your vitamins and fucking saying your prayers and stuff for like 5 years. But what they did is they just gave him a machine of heels, that monster factory of heels. Like they need to do that with him. He needs something to go against. And an AJ Styles is not. It's going to be a good match, but it's not going to be a good feud.
No.
He needs Brock there. He needs Gunther in a position where Gunther's probably going to win the King of the Ring thing that they're going to be doing in Saudi. Is that going to give him an opportunity to go against? That's what we need. We need 3 months of Gunther, and we need Gunther and his cronies getting onto Cody and him once again fighting against the odds to win. Every babyface needs to fight against the odds. That's what we need.
Yep.
We don't need, this is going to be a really good match. Do we see a fucking LA Knight heel turn for a couple of months? I've been overlooked for so fucking long. Who the fuck are you coming back from such and such and taking my spot, motherfucker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go.
I still think Cody needs to turn heel. I know he won't. I know it's not going to happen. It's not
going to happen.
He needs to, man. It's dull. It's nothing there. It's just blah.
He needs something to go at.
But yeah, you say that, right? You need something to go at. But it's going to be exactly the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, your dad was great, blah blah blah, and then Cody will get all teary, and then it'll be blah blah blah. It's
not if they do it in a different way.
But they did it with AJ.
We need open mic night, mate.
They did it with AJ.
Who said it was open mic night, bitch? That's what we need. We need Brandy to come in, mate. That's what we need. We need a Brandy and Cody against Jade Cargill and LA Knight. That's what we need.
I was going to say Miz and fucking Maurice. Yeah. It's just for me, it's a bit bleh at the moment. I think that is the biggest, from the massive crescendo of him winning at WrestleMania to where it is now, it's a massive damp squib for me. It's like, and that was like my biggest concern.
It's what's next, isn't it? That's the issue. It's the what's next thing, and they've, whether it's like victim of circumstance with the way everything else has turned out with injuries and different stuff, or they just didn't see this coming. Randy's having way too much fun with Kevin and Logan Paul and all that lot. Like, he's having way too much fun to be doing anything different.
Yeah.
Like, a heel Randy against a face Cody Rhodes would have been a great shout to do for a couple of months as well.
Yeah.
LA Knight needs to be slid in here.
That's a great shout.
LA Knight needs to turn heel, and we have a good few months of that. Something to get the teeth into. A pissed off heel LA Knight having really good matches and really good promos with Cody Rhodes. That's what we need.
It'll be interesting because I think if he does that, he's so over LA Knight, and he still has that sort of heel like tone. It's Austin Rock, right? And Austin and Rock were up against each other. I'm not talking about the third time, but like they were both babyfaces, both over as fuck. I think that could be really good. So it doesn't need to be a full-fledged heel turn.
Think about who's available for this. Who's available for this right now? Let's spitball this. So we've got LA Knight. Okay. Gunther.
I mean, Sheamus is back as well.
Sheamus is another person I was going to say. Sheamus, but I'm going to put a big cross by that. It's just Grizzly Death. He's not there. Who else? Drew's
with CM
messing
Punk.
around with Punk. They're out the way. Priest and Usos are going to be doing their thing.
And then it's going to be Judgment Day breaking up.
All the bloodline stuff and all that Judgment Day stuff's going on.
Sami Zayn is Intercontinental. He's with Chad Gable. There's no one, man. And unless they rush Seth back, I mean, who could they bring up? I mean, is there anybody? Braun Breaker?
He's probably a face, and they couldn't bring him up for him to lose. If he's going to get brought up, if he's going to be put into a prime spot, he has to be victorious in that prime spot because that's what's going to get him over.
Yeah.
There isn't anybody else.
There's no one really, no. It's crazy.
Or we have AJ again. We
Yeah.
might not necessarily want to see that again because we've seen it. There's three options there. LA Knight, Gunther, and AJ.
Let's see what they do. I mean, I'm really impressed with WWE in terms of what they're doing, in terms of storylines and stuff. There is one thing that we haven't touched upon, and that's Rhea Ripley. So Rhea, we're massive fans of Rhea, right? Huge fans of Rhea, and unfortunately she has been injured. Apparently she's going to be out for, a good 6 months or so. And the only sort of solace I can take in that, can you imagine the pop that she's going to get when she returns? It's going to be
Royal
huge.
Rumble, isn't it? It's going to be Rumble,
yeah,
right?
It's got to be. Yeah, got to be. She'll win that. She'll go on to face whoever is the champ at that time. And I reckon Liv Morgan will probably win it to set it, like before WrestleMania to set up. I mean, you can see it's written, right?
The fact I've gone all out of focus. The fact that that fucking tiny little schoolgirl has injured Rhea Ripley. And Rhea fucking decided that it's okay to sell. It's a bit frustrating from Rhea's perspective as well. The fact that she thought that was okay to sell in the way that she did, getting pushed into a fucking wall by that tiny, tiny person who's half her size, is fucking stupid. She is not a threat to Rhea Ripley. A Liv Morgan, without the help of cronies, 10 of them, is not a threat to Rhea Ripley. When you're having like matches with Becky, you're having matches with like Charlotte, like the premium matches which Rhea Ripley has had, and then you're expected to go and sell for Liv Morgan, who's half her fucking size. It's bonkers to me, absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, she'll come back Rumble. I think Liv Morgan, she'll be a champ at something, and then at Mania it'll be Ripley versus Morgan, but Ripley will go over. Ripley, it'll be a squash. It'll be like Daniel Bryan type squash. It'll be a fucking
boot.
Yeah.
See you later. Good night.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Riptide. That's
hopefully.
It.
Yeah.
And that puts her over. I can just see like Rhea, like I don't know, like kissing the belt, just saying like she is back and stuff like that. Judgment Day they're definitely going to end because fucking like what's happening with Judgment Damien Priest and Finn Balor, etc. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's really unfortunate that Rhea's, because we're a big fan of Rhea.
Yeah,
we love a bit of Rhea Ripley.
I'm she's probably my favorite wrestler right now. Or she was until she got injured, if you know what I mean. She's just amazing. So fucking frustrating because she really, that match against Becky, like her winning, that was
so
like
good.
Like the match against Charlotte was like her sort of crowning, wasn't it? Like a sort of coronation.
Yep.
The match against Becky was like, I am proper big time in here now. This is me. Yeah. And to happen straight away is fucking, excuse me, is brutal.
So
really
sad.
brutal.
Yeah, really sad.
Yeah.
Okay, two more WWE things I want to talk about, Hoxie, just to get your opinions on. And that is the promo packages that have been released with the Wyatt Six, apparently. Bo Dallas is believed to be Uncle Howdy. I don't know if you've seen it. So they've been releasing...
No.
So basically it's
Is this the QR code thing that was popping up? Because I saw that on the Backlash show and I didn't know whether I dreamt it or not. Is that what this is for?
So it's for, yeah. So apparently they're going to have the Wyatt... So they're going to be Wyatt 6, I believe. So it's Uncle Howdy. It's going to probably include Eric Rowan. So, Eric Redbeard. Yep. So he's going to come back. Apparently he's re-signed. He's cancelled all his upcoming indie dates. Alexa Bliss is going to be there. Who else is it that's been rumoured? Dexter Loomis has been rumoured,
So
which could be
Triple
really
H
interesting.
likes
Yep.
Dexter Loomis, big time.
Give me a second.
Nikki Cross,
Nikki
Joe
Cross.
Gacy,
Yep.
Dexter
That's the ones.
Loomis.
So
Who's
this is where
Joe Gacy, dude?
Joe Gacy is in NXT. He's really good. Like, he would have fit in really well
Google him.
with.
I might know his face if I seen him. Joe. Okay. He looks like a socially acceptable Sammy Callahan.
Jesus. But he would have fit in with, like, the Wyatt family, the Swamp family. Like, I think he would have been really, really good. I think he was involved with the guys. In fact, no, I don't want to say that just in case, so we'll avoid that. But yeah, that could be really exciting with Bo coming back, because it's all pointing that way, because it's in the QR code. It's like Bo leave. Do you think they are really, really like cashing in on the cash cow that is Bray Wyatt?
I think Uncle Howdy has always been Bo.
Yeah, he was always
Anyway, and I think they probably, I don't want to use the term they owe it to him to sort of finish it off, if you know what I mean. But I think they would be able to do some good business with it. If they bring it in and do it right, it could be a really good foil to a new bloodline stable.
Yeah.
Or they could just bring him in to sort of run roughshod with a few different things and have a finger in a couple of pies. Like that we can say what we want about whether it's right or wrong, whether they're doing it because he's dead or whatever. Like that's not a thing. But that was getting over, and it was over, and it was doing some form of business and return on investment. So they would be silly. They would be silly not to. It would be interesting. And it gives opportunities for some other guys who are different as well. So Eric Rowan's good. Alexa Bliss is class. Like
Nikki Cross is good.
Nikki Cross and your Alexa Bliss, there's your tag team, like your women's tag team or whatever, and you got the Joe Gacy, and I rate Dexter Loomis. I think he's really good.
Yeah.
As the crazy serial killer kind of guy, like in that sort of thing. That would work. Like, why not? Why the fuck not? Like, it's not like, for me, it's not like I'm not a massive fan of. I wasn't a massive fan of Bray Wyatt's like later stuff before he passed away. But his presentation through a lot of it was really good.
The Swamp family was one of the best things that WWE came up with in a long time.
OG Wyatt with his hat and his flowery shirt.
Follow the
promos and stuff were fucking really, really good. So yeah, man, why not, dude? Why the fuck not? You know what I mean? Give it a go. See what happens.
And the final thing I want to talk about in WWE is we thought that the Bloodline storyline was going to finish at Mania after Cody finished his story, but my fuck, is it still ongoing? This has got Avengers Civil War vibes written all over it.
Yeah.
The seeds already been planted in terms of the reunion of like the Usos, etc. With the I think it was SmackDown's latest episode where Solo and Tama walked past him, Jey Uso, and then Paul Heyman sort of looked at him and just shook his head. Heyman doesn't need to say anything, just his fucking face.
Fucking class in it.
He's fucking incredible. He's so.
But it
so
wasn't
good.
shaking his head as if to say like, no. It was like, oh my god, like yeah, like I don't know, like this wasn't me. What the fuck is going on? Help! Yeah, it was class. So good.
It's like so everybody thinks it's Solo as the tribal chief. I've just got this feeling that The Rock is going to come back.
Is the tribal chief, yeah.
He's got to, and then when it's revealed there, that's what's going to get Roman back, and I'm really looking forward to Roman's return. I didn't think I would say that, but it's like, holy shit. Like Roman.
Isn't that the pub in Coronation Street?
Roman's fuck off.
Sorry.
This is the last episode of Market. Okay. So where do you see it going then? Do you see a full reunion of the OG bloodline? Because the rumor is it's going to be Roman, the Usos, and Sami Zayn coming back into it, which could be really cool.
That could be really fun. I'm trying to think who would be on the other side. So it's Roman, the tag team. Would Solo be there?
No, Solo's in the new one.
Solo's OG though, isn't he? So okay, so
Well, he technically is not. No, I mean,
Roman, Usos, and Zayn. So it would be against The Rock, Solo, and Tangaloa and okay, Tamatonga, Solo and Zayn, and then the tag teams and Rock and Roman. Okay, I'm just a bit annoyed because there's no
well,
space for Jacob Fatu.
but it doesn't mean the story's going to finish there. He could be the one that cost them the.
He could be the choice. Who's he gonna join? Is he
Why,
gonna join
Austin?
his
Why?
brothers or his cousins or whatever? Dude, I
It's going to
can't.
be so good.
They have to bring him in. We've spent a bit of time speaking about Jacob Fatu on one of our earlier shows. Go back and listen to the back catalogue available on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, YouTube. If you don't know who Jacob Fatu is, just Google him and have a look at him. Go on YouTube and watch 30 seconds of this guy. He's the best of them right now. Apart from Roman, he is the best in that family who's wrestling in the world right now. Usos included, Tamatonga, everybody, Solo, whoever. Jacob Fatu is number 2 in the world in that family. He's amazing. Bring him in. Do it. Please. Please. But yeah, dude, going back to your initial question, like, I'm there for that.
It's going to be good, man. You're invested in storylines, and I never thought I'd say that about WWE again. But you're invested, man. It's so good.
Where's this going to go? Who's going to slot in? Where are they going to go with it? The fact that we've had this twice now, where like people have shown up, and it isn't like join us next week for the debut of such and such. It's like, fuck, that's Tungaloa, like coming in on a premium live event from underneath the ring to cost a match
to
be like
though, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's what we want. We want to be surprised. Obviously, the surprises can't happen all the time because they're not surprises anymore. But for that to happen every so often, it's like, oh my god, this is cool as fuck. I love it. I fucking love it so much.
That's how it should
There
be
will
done,
be a day where somebody will jump from AEW and show up on a WWE show.
Please be,
and it will be, well, that will happen. It has to happen. But it would be cool if they did it in a way where nobody knew it was going to happen. You know what I mean? But like, there might be a day where a Swerve will just rock up. You know what I mean? Because they were talking about this, right? There's in AEW they don't have non-competes.
That's so crazy, right? It's mental to think that.
So you could see somebody on a Dynamite on a fucking Wednesday, and they could show up on a SmackDown on a Friday. Or a pay-per-view on a Sunday, and there'd be nothing AEW could do about it. We shall see, right?
Shit.
Shit. We shall see, but it's good shit, mate. It's good shit. And all the stuff we've spoke about here, most of it isn't on this fucking show. I wasn't on the pay-per-view. It was 5 matches on the pay-per-view, right? 3-hour show, 2 hours 51, I think it was on the network. It was showing up on there. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for the crowd. Sorry, 11 out of 10 for the crowd. It reminded me of an ECW crowd. There was like 10,000 people in there, 9,000 people. It sounded like there was 50,000 people in that room.
There was, I know you haven't seen the main event yet, but there was no lull in the crowd in the main event.
I did hear that. It was just relentless.
Was constant.
Yeah.
It's, just fucking phenomenal. You've got to go and watch it. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so that's our review. Well, not a review, but that's just talking about WWE. We feel it necessary we talk about the main promotions in wrestling, so that's us done. Let's get back to the list of
a bit of a fucking natter about stuff we're excited about as well, right?
Bit of a chinwag, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we are going back to our list of top 10 babyfaces, the people that are so over that we had to include them on the list. The perfect foil to our bad guys that we talked about a few weeks ago. So we are on to my number 5, I believe, Hoxie Boy. And my number 5 is someone you've mentioned. It's the People's Champ, The Rock.
Very basically, close in this middle.
Yeah,
absolutely. I
always thought it was going to be, to be fair. The Rock, I think why he's got to be on my list is for the babyfaces. he's one of those guys that we talked about in terms of blurring the lines, like Sting before. We talked about that. The Rock is another one of those that blur the lines in terms of he has a heely look, but he's so fucking over. He's got to be classed as a babyface. When he started as the original like cookie cutter clean babyface of Rocky Maivia, and then he became the Nation of Domination Rock, and then obviously he just skyrocketed from then. It's just everything he did was just so good in the mic. He was one of the foundations of the Attitude Era. It was just, I mean, you find yourself going back on YouTube and stuff, and just like YouTube and some of his best promos, like the Billy Gunn King of the Ring promo, fucking so good. The stuff he did with Jericho up against like Stephanie McMahon. It's like what is it?
I did it for The Rock.
Yeah, Booker T, hair done by Whoopi, Shane McMahon, still a pussy. It's like stuff like that. It's so good. It's like, yeah, he had to be on my list of babyfaces. I fucking love The Rock. Like you say, his heel stuff now is so good. It's that he's bona fide heel, but
he's leaning into it, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's realizing, he's
not a stupid man. He's not going to be the top.
You don't get to be that successful by being sick as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, my number 5 is The Rock.
Dwayne.
Over to you. You're number 5.
Dusty Rhodes. 275, 300 pounds of just beautiful human being. Jive talking, just everything about him. He's a legend. One of the best talkers in the business, in terms of drawing money, in terms of talking yourself into a position, a proper journeyman, going through territories, NWA champ, beating Flair, like all this, like just everything that he did, massive in Florida. Obviously didn't necessarily get the best run of it in WWF with the polka dots and stuff, but he was still over as fuck as a face. Jesus Christ. What can you say about Dusty Rhodes, right? The American Dream. He literally is the American Dream. He's big guy, wasn't a body guy. He wasn't the greatest, like, technical wrestler. I hate that term, technical wrestler, if you know what I mean. Not that but he was a great worker, just a phenomenal worker. And he connected with everybody. Like, there's a quote by somebody, and I can't remember who it was. And he said, like, Dusty Rhodes is the greatest black champion in the history of wrestling and stuff. Like, because people would see him as theirs. Like, he was over as fuck everywhere he went. Like, just, he was over as fuck, baby. Like, just making all that money, talking all over the place. And the American Dream, son of a plumber, all that shit. You know what I mean? Everything he did. Just, like I said, multiple time champ. Everywhere he went, when he went back, he done that ECW fucking run, like in the mid-90s. Like, for him to go there was obviously a big thing anyway, because he had to, because he was struggling with stuff. But he went there, and that's a smart crowd in a time where the business wasn't smart, and they still loved him and adored him and popped and just went mental because he showed up in an ECW show for a couple of shots, and just like, he was still the American Dream to them. Like, that shows he transcended audiences from everywhere. You look at back recent years before he passed away, the stuff with, like, when they had the match against the Shield, and, like, you know, I mean, with Cody, his two boys in the ring and the whole embrace and stuff, like, that brings a tear to my eye. Like, every time I watch it, like, that's a big thing. The hand in the face, in Stephanie's face, like, all that bullshit, just, what's that, 40, 50 years in the fucking business or whatever, and he was just top all the way through.
Top drawer.
Yeah, just, you can't have a babyface list without Dusty Rhodes. Literally one of the best babyfaces ever. Amazing.
You're
amazing.
Correct. You're absolutely correct. You cannot have a list. He'll be on mine. So
there we go.
Okay.
There we go.
You're number 4, Mr. Hoxie.
Oh, my number 4 is John Cena. There might be a bit of an argument for me when I start talking about other people. Like, he could potentially be a place higher for me. but we'll get to that in a bit. We talk about the greatest to ever do it, not in terms of being a wrestler, but the greatest wrestler, taking everything into account. He's Mount Rushmore conversation.
Yep.
And he was a face all the way through. He got over as a face, ruthless aggression, all that bullshit. But he was everything to everybody. The Make-A-Wish thing still holds a record for the most Make-A-Wishes and transcended wrestling. He's obviously Hollywood now, but he was the wrestler where you know who he is. He's like Hulk Hogan kind of level, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like he transcended that even when he was wrestling. The hustle, loyalty, respect thing, the merch he sold, the pay-per-views he fucking every pay-per-view he was main eventing, multiple time champion, and it was all because he was just the guy. There was a bit where I don't know when this was, don't know what show it was on, can never remember the year or whatever it was, but it's him and Vince in the ring. And he said there's a time when Stone Cold was out, gone, he was done. The Rock went to Hollywood. Like, you had this bunch of misfits, like, left over, and you wanted somebody to step up and take that spot. And he said, and I said to you, like, in your, like, face to face, give me a chance. And you gave me a chance, and I succeeded. You gave me another chance, and I succeeded. You gave me another chance, and I succeeded. He said, the people who came here, like, they put wrestling as part of their life. He said, I lived wrestling. I missed, like, birthdays and funerals and weddings and all that for this. Like, I am this. This is me. Like, he was the embodiment of a babyface in wrestling. And it was through his veins forever. It still is. It still is. Big time. Big time.
That was around the same time that TNA were making big moves, because at part of that promo, because he was in the middle of the ring on Raw with Vince McMahon, and Vince was wearing his pink outfit, and he goes, and if you doubt me, I'll cross the line. And then Vince didn't know that line was coming, and Vince goes, don't threaten me. Don't threaten me. I remember that promo. It was so good.
Now, I can't remember that bit. I might have to go back and watch that whole thing again, but I can remember that bit, if you know what I mean. And
I get you.
Every single, we were just having this conversation about Cody, right? Like, what's next for Cody? Like, he had Randy Orton. He had the JBLs. He had the Brock Lesnar's. He had the Big Shows. He had Triple H. He had Shawn Michaels. He had Edge. Like, all of these amazing heels, and he still beat every single one of them, and he was still the top guy. From 2000 and maybe 2004 to now, a couple of years ago, whatever, he was the guy.
Yeah.
Top level babyface. The more and more I'm talking about it, the more and more I probably should have put him maybe one spot higher. But John Cena, man, like, so you can say whatever the fuck you want about the 5 moves of doom and the fact that he can't work and all this bullshit. He's a really good worker, really good worker. But you have to respect every single thing he's done in the business. One of the greatest ever, and one of the greatest baby faces.
Talk about John Cena later.
There we go.
My number 4 Hoxley is a guy you've mentioned before. It's the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
So close.
It's ridiculous. I knew our top 5 were going to be really close.
We sort of said this. Well, I said this at the start. Like, it's not necessarily about like how you feel about this. It's like it is.
Just is.
It's just the way it is, right?
As we said,
to a certain degree.
It's different for babyfaces than heels, because heels have got to make you feel something. You've got to make them fucking hate you, right? That's what the point of a heel. Babyface is just something different. Babyface, you can tell by numbers, etc. Like, it's just, and these people have the numbers. It just makes sense. We talked about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat being one of Ric Flair's one of the best heels of all time. Dusty Rhodes is the Ric Flair. Like, if you ever think of a Ric Flair feud, it's got to be him and Dusty. Well, for me anyway. Great on the mic. He spoke to the working man. We talked about hard times. Hard times.
Yeah.
yeah, he had to be on my list. And, without Dusty Rhodes, we wouldn't have a Cody Rhodes either, It's just
Quite
is.
Literally.
Quite literally, yeah. Also in the business, because that's all Cody talks about. Moving on, my number... Yeah, but yeah,
You
I
had to get
can't
that
really...
in. Yeah.
I had
You
to,
had to get that in.
of course, just like your Edge one earlier, fucker. Okay,
Dear.
so yeah, I can't really add much more onto what you said before, just repeating everything. And it's the same with my number 3, because my number 3 is John Cena. Like, he is, like you say, Mount Rushmore discussion in terms of one of the best of all time. It's like, you're not going to be top of the biggest wrestling company in the world ever for well over a decade, almost 2 decades. It's just not going to happen if you're not over his shit and you're not good at what you do. And like you said, 5 moves of doom, fucking doesn't matter. He did what he had to do in a time where Vince didn't have anyone else that he could rely on, and he was the Hogan of this particular era. He was the the Stone Cold of this particular era, and as testament to his work, he worked fucking hard. He didn't slack off. He was everything that WWE needed their champion to be, in terms of in ring and outside of the company. So yeah, he had to be on my list. And I'll be honest, he was chopped and changed between 3 and 2 for me. Like, it's real. To be fair, my 3 and 2 are really, really close. Like, tomorrow it would be different, but yeah, had to be John Cena for me. Okay, over to you. Number 3.
My number 3 is someone who we spoke about, or you spoke about earlier on in your list, and it's Bruno Sammartino. 12 years combined champion. Yep. There wasn't really any other wrestlers in history that were loved, like actually viscerally loved and adored, and people were connected to this guy in a way really we will probably never ever have again, because everybody knows it's a fucking work. This was back in the day when everybody legitimately thought all of this was a shoot, was real as fuck. You know what I mean? It wasn't worked. That Italian audience, obviously being in the northeast, New York, big population of that kind of like the Italian population in that part of the world in America. But he wasn't just over with those guys. He got over maybe because of those guys, but once he was there, the whole of the US or the whole of the territories or whatever were for him and rooting for him. He was probably the main reason Vince Sr. was probably still in business for a good while as well. I dread to think, I would love to see if there's any statistics out there about this, is like if you sort of saw the money, what he drew, but like in today's money, if you know what I mean, like how it would compare to like what's been drawn on shows and stuff nowadays. You know what I mean? Like what sort of like, because everywhere they went, the Garden was a sellout all of the time. Every time he was there, you'll watch some of the matches from back then, and you'll think like, oh my god, this is like, how was this like a thing? But like he wrestled everybody. Like he was the traveling champion. He's the NWA champion. He was obviously WWF. He was even the champion before it was a WWF, when it was Capital Wrestling. Like he was around forever, and it was as real to him as anybody. And he was a legit fucking badass as well.
Yeah.
But he was over as fuck, and it was just the super face. There was people around before him who the crowd would want to go and see, but I think the sort of the baby face sort of maybe like real true meaning and the beginning of babyface in professional wrestling before it was like the carny stuff. It probably started with Bruno potentially.
Yeah.
Just an amazing guy in and out the ring. Just over as fuck. Huge baby face, and like 12-year combined title reign. I don't know, obviously they weren't doing premium live events every month and all that sort of stuff, but he was still wrestling regularly around the places and traveling and wrestling out their heels and all that sort of shit. It's crazy, man.
I think
crazy.
I think it shows the impact he had when people were absolutely clamouring for him to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, and it was such a massive deal when Triple H managed to get him through the doors to have that discussion, because obviously there's bad blood between him and Vince.
Yeah,
But
huge.
It's
The living legend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The living legend.
And I think the fact that it was well in our past, it was like it wasn't in our lifetime that he was like over as fuck, right? But there's still this overwhelming urge to see him inducted into this Hall of Fame because of the impact he had in people's lives back in those days, and that's testament to the babyface that he was, 100%. Okay, we're moving into the business end now, Hoxie.
Yes.
I've got a feeling our top two are probably the same.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the right order, but I've got a feeling you're number two.
My number two is Hulk Hogan.
So is mine, yeah.
Which means that number one is going to be, we know exactly who the number one is. We'll get there. Guy changed the business, right?
Yeah, slam heard around the world.
He was, he started off as a heel, old fucking the Golden Balls or whatever his fucking name was. I can never remember it, but old Terry. But when you look that good and you sort of, you're that much of a personality and like that cartoon character, like brought to life sort of thing. The Rock and Wrestling, that WrestleMania, like everything about that period of time, the reason the WWF is as big as it is in that period of time when Vince was having to go big to get all these territories and to go national, he would not have been able to do it without Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
The business would not be as big as it is now. The WWF would have succeeded, but maybe not onto the international level that it has, and like as being the machine that it is now, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan and his transcendence into the fucking ether of the zeitgeist that we have. You know what I mean? He was pop culture. He wasn't just wrestling. He was taking over the world, basically.
I don't think we would have the business. I don't think the business would have survived. I don't think we would have had an Attitude Era, you know, because it all built from that sort of foundation, right? It's a case of, like you say, it was pop culture. He started it all, and even though he wasn't directly involved with the Attitude Era, although he was the sort of the precursor to Attitude in terms of Vince had to do something, you know, in terms of when they had the NWO. So again, he had a direct involvement there. But yeah, I mean, if you say to anybody now, name me a wrestler. Oh, you mean Hulk Hogan? That's the answer. Like man, woman,
and
child.
he hasn't wrestled for 15 years or whatever. Yeah,
you know, it's like
If you done what's it, Family Fortunes or whatever the fucking hell it is, like in top 5 wrestlers, he's
there.
Probably number 1, isn't he? Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone's going to know who he is. Yeah. Just like the Hulkamania running wild and Hulk must pose. He had to have the belt. He was one of the longest reigning champions. He was always in featured spots. He was in films. Like, you know what I mean? He crossed over that barrier into Hollywood. Obviously, maybe not necessarily the greatest films, but he was still in them anyway.
Still made money.
Take your vitamins, say your prayers. Hulkamania running wild, brother. Like this, that's
what
it.
you gonna do?
The amount of money that they drew with this guy is insane. Oh my god, insane in the membrane. But Hulk Hogan, that yellow and red. Sorry, just you can't. He's going to be
on the list.
He's going to be 1 or 2 of anyone's list. Take away him being an absolute fucking nut job now. We're talking about wrestling, and that's what we do. There's only maybe 1 or 2 things we won't speak about on the podcast, just for obvious reasons. But you're like 1 or 2 in anyone's list has to be Hulk Hogan.
Absolutely.
Don't fucking at me.
No, you're absolutely right. It's interesting. I said he was like between my 2 and 3, and he was. He was always going to be my number 2 or 3. My number 1 was always my number 1.
Yeah, first name on the list.
Yeah, first name. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so what we do now, everybody that listens, if you haven't listened to the podcast, as Hoxie said before, why the fuck not? Go back and listen to our back catalogue. We always have an honourable mention. That is a cheap way of us getting an extra pick onto our list. someone that we think should be in there, but you know, it's a nice moment. Sometimes it's a cheeky moment, which is, again, go back to number 1, episode number 1, for what the cheeky moment's all about. Something that's a bit left field, or something that is just a case of he needs to be on the list. So it would be over to me. So my honourable mention is probably the greatest mass superstar ever, Rey Mysterio. I think for a man to be the sort of beacon of light from Mexico, the way he is, the fact he's so over in Mexico, but also in the US, he is diminutive in stature, but he can go in the ring. He's still over to this day. You know, before he was injured and stuff, there were rumors of him before Sin Cara was released, it was going to be him versus Sin Cara, and it was going to be the most people wearing a mask in like a stadium and stuff, and that's down to just him. He's just fucking insane. I think he is probably the person you least think about in terms of babyface, people listening here. But yeah, he had to be on my list somewhere. He wasn't going to be in my top 10, so he was always in my honourable mention, Ray. But I think the pop he gets, even now when he's at the sort of twilight of his career, just is for me, Ray.
He was on the wider list. He was taken off just before Sting was.
There you go.
And he was in discussions for the honourable mention. It's quite funny when I tell you my honourable mention. It's quite weird that we've both gone for similar-ish kind of people. Okay. I can't disagree with you, mate. The guy's a fucking legend, and he's still going. He's still one of the biggest faces there. Yeah, huge deal, but not as huge of a deal as mine.
Okay.
My honourable mention this week goes to another masked wrestler, but maybe not as well known in terms of like around the world, maybe, or in sort of general sort of circles. But my honourable mention is for El Santo.
Okay.
Who is the greatest luchador ever, and it's not even close.
Okay.
This guy had a 45-year career. He never took his mask off until he done it on national television. A week later, he died of a heart attack back in the 80s. So it's a little bit like, like Warrior doing the Warrior Lives Forever and then having the heart attack sort of thing. It's like he had a quick peek of a mask, put it back on, a week later he dies. Crazy. He was basically, do you know, we talk about wrestlers being like superheroes or like cartoon characters or whatever. He was as close to a superhero as you can get because he lived as El Santo. Like, it wasn't like a gimmick, it was like his life. So everything that he did was the mask. He had a comic book that ran for 30 years about him, and it stopped when he died in 86 or 87. He was on television. He had like cartoons. He was on mainstream television in Mexico. He sold out everywhere there was to sell out. He was the most baby-faced of baby-faced people you could ever imagine. People will say, "Oh, you've got like Blue Demon and Mil Mascaras or whatever." El Santo, there will be no Mil Mascaras or Blue Demon or whatever if there wasn't for an El Santo. He like paved the way for like how they presented themselves. This guy is big time babyface. And when you're 45-year career and doing all the shit that he did, he was El Santo. It wasn't like Jose Chavez Guerrero or whatever, like playing El Santo. It was El Santo. He was a character. He was superhero. Yeah.
That's crazy. Died in 1984, 5th of February.
84, there you go.
Around 10,000 people attended his funeral. Wow. It took hours for his coffin to make it from the funeral parlour to the hearse. That's insane. Fuck me. That's a great show.
Monumental levels of overness. And like I said, not everybody will know about El Santo. Like, he's... I don't want to go to like too far into the weeds and trying to be smart. Like, oh, I'm going to choose El Santo this week. But like, he's fucking huge. He's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Huge deal. Massive deal. And I know it might be like, oh, it might be only one country or South America or whatever, but it doesn't matter. There's a lot of fucking people there.
He's a WWE Hall of Famer. He was inducted in 2018 as part of the Legacy inductees, so fair play. I genuinely didn't expect that.
Dude, he got in the ring. I think it was like 1945 or something. He fucking first like debuted, and he was wrestling until he died, pretty much.
So accounts varied as to when and where he first wrestled competitively, either in Arena Perivilo Cozumel on 28th of June 1934. Holy shit.
How old would he have been?
Yeah, I know.
When was he born?
Give me a second. Deportivo. So there's three places. So the Guerrero colony of Mexico City in 1935, or the 26th of July 1942. But by the second half of the 1930s, he was established as a wrestler using the names Rudy Guzman, El Hombre Rojo, El Demonio Negro, Murcielago Enmascarado 2. Well, there you go. Sorry if I butchered that. I mean, I don't fucking apologise. Fuck it all. He was born 1917.
So they were saying he debuted in. He maybe debuted in, what was it, 1934?
Yeah.
Did you say so? That would have been
17.
17. Yeah.
Fair dues. That's a great shout, though. I love it. I love it. Okay.
Great.
I genuinely didn't expect that. That's a great shout. But two masked superstars for honourable mentions.
That's why it's a bit crazy,
really cool.
right?
It's really cool.
It's really crazy.
Okay. So what we do now is we'll run through, before we reveal our number ones, I think we all know who our number ones are going to be, but my number 10 was Ultimate Warrior, my number 9 was Sting, 8 was Bruno Sammartino, number 7 was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, number 6 was Mick Foley, 5 was The Rock, 4 was The American Dream Dusty Rhodes, 3 was John Cena, 2 was Hulk Hogan, and my honourable mention is Rey Mysterio. Hoxie?
My number 10 was Junkyard Dog. Number 9, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Number 8, Bret Hart. 7, Mick Foley. 6, The Rock. 5, Dusty Rhodes. 4, John Cena. 3, Bruno Sammartino. 2, Hulk Hogan. And my honourable mention, El Santo.
I think this is the first time, like, properly, where there is absolutely no, like, humming and hawing about the list. It's like you totally get it for each one. It's really good. I've enjoyed this list. Okay, Mr. Hawks, your number one pick for the top 10 babyfaces of all time in wrestling is
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I mean, we talked about the heel being Vince McMahon. It had to be. And, flip side of the coin, it had to be Stone Cold, right? The biggest era of wrestling, the ultimates. Yeah. Go.
What can we say about Stone Cold that we haven't already sort of spoken about? Probably there could be an argument, like, not just like in terms of like the best face or whatever. There's probably argument to say that he was probably the most popular wrestler ever.
Yeah.
Like in the world ever. I know you might have like Hulk Hogan who's like well known or whatever, but in terms of like popularity, you will be hard pushed to find somebody who says, "Oh, I didn't like Stone Cold. I thought he was shit." Like everybody loves and loved Stone Cold Steve Austin. Every time that glass shatters, just mental. Just over as fuck, right? The t-shirts, the beating the fuck out your boss. Like, he was a heel, really, but he wasn't, because it was like, it was everything you wanted to ever do. Everybody in their life has wanted to go up to their boss, kick him in the dick, and drop it on their head. Like, everyone's wanted to do it at one point in their life, and he was doing it. Everybody was living vicariously through this guy, yet on television or in the arena every single week, and he was just causing havoc, driving up and spraying people with beer. Fucking, what is it? The ice truck thing. What's the word for it? The Zamboni. The Mick Foley thing. The stunning the boss. The bang. The pan on the fucking head. Like everything he did for that period of time, everything, quote unquote, was just gold. And he was over as fuck. Everybody loved him. He was just the perfect, all the planets and the moons and the stars and everything aligned. You take it back to that, to the screw job. Like, the Mr. McMahon was born with the Brett screwed Brett thing. He was starting to become a character. We need a perfect foil for this heel, and we've got him. We've got him with Stone Cold. This beer drinking fucking guy just Texas Rattlesnake who don't give a fuck and says it how it is and does what he needs to do. Just amazing. Amazing.
Again, I'm not going to repeat anything you said. It's exactly what I was going to say anyway. I think the only sort of thing I want to put in is at WrestleMania. The only disappointment was the fact that we didn't hear the glass smash. You know, that would have been the cherry on the cake. Sam said it in his email earlier, and it would have. I mean, it's amazing to think that people were shitting on Undertaker appearing at WrestleMania. You know, because Stone Cold wasn't there. That says everything for me. You know,
there would never have been another Mark Out of 10 podcast because I would have internally spontaneously combusted if that glass smashed. I would have just turned into.
We were
dust.
watching it together, right? And we're like, it's got to be the glass smash. It's got to be. But
I would have literally turned into dust. There would have just been an outline on this chair of where I once was. I would have transcended into some other worldly universe because I wouldn't have been able to handle it. It would have been amazing. And I guarantee that spot was there for him, but something couldn't be done. Maybe it was all the shit with Vince going on. He didn't want to have his stink attached to it. Maybe whatever. I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. But dude, come on, man. Every time that glass smashes, like you look at the last year at Mania. Not last year, it was the year before, wasn't it? At Mania with him and KO and the whole Vince thing, and just it was just amazing, right? How long was the last time he ever done anything? Like he retired in 2002. He came back and done bits, but he didn't do like a match. Mm-hmm. So like 20 years or whatever it was, he's come back and done a match, and it's the most over thing that they've done in God knows how long. He's huge deal.
The biggest of all time.
And he hit that level, that like that top guy level when his body just wasn't there as well. So like he wrestled that amazing career because he did have a decent, well, I say amazing, decent. He had a really good career before he became Stone Cold, but it's just sad that we didn't. It's sad that we didn't have it for long, but it's probably good that we only had it for as long as we did. Yeah. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
I think
we had it for 4 or 5 years or whatever, and it was just like bang.
It was insane. It was a case of like the business was at its peak, and he matched it, and then they sort of just kept on pushing each other, which is really strange to say. A wrestler in the business were doing that. It was like where the business went, he reached it and then pushed it on a little further, and the business caught up.
It dragged it with him a little bit. Yeah,
so good, and I don't think we'll ever see the likes of that again. Like, hopefully, I'm wrong, but I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime.
No.
You know, WWE is.
I think the world was ready for it as well. I think.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
The climate, if you know what I mean, was primed for that. Like ECW got over because of like the grunge rock kind of thing. Like it was the underground gimmick. Like the world was just coming into like this internet phase, like the late 90s, and they wanted something to. There was a lot of angst between people. They wanted something to latch onto and for something to be cool, because the 90s was pretty shit for everything, right? They wanted something cool and different, and it was just the most perfect time for this like badass to come along. The DX, the whole Attitude Era thing was perfect for that time, because people was tired of cartoon shit. They wanted real life stuff, and it was just perfect, right? Yeah,
so good, so good.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. He was first on the list.
Yeah, same. Absolutely first.
Done. Easy. Sorted. Right, let's have a look at the other 10. Yeah, where do we put this? Like
My top 3 were always sorted. In fact, including honourable mention, my top 4 were always sorted. And then it was just putting people in wherever after that. It was a very, very close list, though. But, listeners, we're at the end of this particular episode. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Who would be on your list? Let us know at wrestlemark10@gmail.com. Mark_out of 10 on Twitter. Are you going to say something, Hoxie?
I was going to say, somebody will reply to this with a name, and we'll be like, holy fucking shit, how the fuck did we forget about him or her or whatever? Like, it's,
I did it with Junkyard Dog.
I love that bit. I love that bit. I really do. It's when you have those comments or those messages, and it's like, oh, what about this? And you're like, oh my god, like
Such a good,
yeah, it's a great shout. Like,
so good, so
it's wicked. Please let us know, guys. Like I said, we love that part of it. We love not like we don't do it for like feedback or anything. Like, it was an amazing email to get from Sam. Like, genuinely, that's like, it's made my heart warm and my soul happy. Like, it's amazing. But I love getting like the people reacting and responding and saying like, oh, I agree with this, but did you think about this?
Yeah.
And it's just the best thing. Yeah,
it doesn't even need to be positive. If you don't like something about the podcast, let us know. You know, it's like, although that is feedback, but we don't just highlight the good shit. It's like we would highlight the poor shit.
If we can do
well.
some stuff better, we will definitely be doing 100%. Some stuff better. We haven't been doing this for very long, really, when you think about it. This is all new, and we do we don't fly by the seat of our pants, if you know what I mean. We do sort of do stuff, but we're not fucking professional broadcasters, you know what I mean? We're a couple of guys who like to talk about wrestling. So yeah, but I've enjoyed this show tonight, mate. It's been nice.
Good, yeah.
It's been good to just get back into it. Like I said, it feels like ages
since
we've done one of these, and it's not been that long at all. It feels like about 6 months. It's well weird.
I've missed
you. Cheers, mate. I would say the same about you, but there we go. Anyway, so going on.
Anyway, make sure
I love you, you know I love you, mate. You know I love you.
I know you.
I gotta love you.
So make sure you also sub to our YouTube channel, like this podcast. It will also be in all your favorite podcasting platforms. Follow us on Instagram, on TikTok as well. Make sure you comment and all that jazz. And also hit 5 stars on Spotify, etc. And share it with a friend, because once again, Hoxie, what does it help?
The algorithm. One person, we're about to finish. Press the little 3 dots or press the share button or the little whatever it is, and just send it to a friend who you think, do you know what? You might like the sound of this. Just do it right now and then come back.
Indeed.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that to your one friend.
Check you out.
Yeah.
Mr. Social Media. I was going to say, we won't be here next week because Hoxie's on holiday. But
I'm going to be sat or lay by a pool for a week, as much as I possibly can, with a 2-year-old running around, basically. So I'm going to go away I'm away on Sunday, and I'm away for a week. And I'm just going to sit on my arse, drink loads of beer, and eat loads of food by a pool.
Sounds good.
Sounds
fucking legendary.
I need it.
You do need
so
it,
bad.
mate, yeah. You work so hard. But,
I got to have it.
But don't worry, we will be back the following week. Just make sure that you listen to our back catalogue. Tell us what your favourite episode is in the week that we're off. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. We certainly enjoyed it tonight. Thank you very much from Shields.
Cheers from Hawksy. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Love you, bye!